Alrighty. I need a few minutes before we get into the nitty-gritty. I heard that through my headset, but I didn't have my headset on, so no jump scare. I did hear it through the headset though. Once I'm smart, you're gonna have to do it again when I put it on, because it didn't have the desired effect. Oh my gosh. I'm happy I don't have the headset on now. Jeez. Trying to open the YouTube chat on my phone, but the live stream is not popping up. Oh, there it is. My phone is only at 57%. I thought it was fully charged. What's up, Katie? Probably should have that fully charged for in case the power goes out, but I don't know if it'll actually charge while plugged in here. I guess we're gonna find out. You just got here? I just went live like a second ago. So 2 minutes and 23 seconds. All right, I gotta do one thing before we get started here. Give me 1 second. Do you guys hear my slippers? Yo, Mister, what's up? Why is power going out? Supposedly, we're supposed to have like 70 miles per hour winds, and it's raining really hard out. And the worst of it is supposed to be in like 20 minutes, so we'll see how it goes. You can hear them a little. Or, it does. I'm gonna not be walking around where you would hear them anyway. I just got to turn one light off, so I could show you guys. Let me turn the light off, and then I'll show you.
Hello there.
Would have been bad if the power went out while I was doing that because, yo, what's up, Monsword? I didn't have my phone with me. I have my phone charging next to me, but I'm mostly gonna be standing at the computer anyway. Monsword, what's up? You like the rain? I like the rain too, but if it knocks the power out while I'm streaming, that's gonna be annoying. Oh, it started, and the camera is focusing me because I had my hand here. It's supposed to be when you do this, but all right. Well, I wanted to show you guys something anyway, so follow me. I don't know if you'll be able to hear me from over there. So actually, let me explain this. Let me explain this before I move. There's a spot over in the corner of the basement that has like a stain, like it must have leaked at some point. But I'm not sure if it's from when we got here or before we got here. I don't remember seeing it. But yeah. So I had to put I put it like a tote there just in case it leaks because the problem is my computer is here and the potential leaking spot would be there. So I feel like if it were to leak, it would make it to the computer and that would be bad, obviously. This kind of feels like a television show with camera movement. Yeah, I want to use it more. I just don't really know. Like, I mean, it's nice to have. It's cool when I do the PS5 streams, but outside of that, it's like whatever. I need to dust. I think we might throw this out, but I need to dust it off because it's behind me for the stream. But I don't know if you guys like look how dusty that is. This part of this chair here, super dusty. Oh yeah, having the camera move is pretty cool though. All right. Let me put my headset on. Freeze the camera too. I'm undecided what I want to do with my hair. This is very important. Fantasy distraction talk. I don't know if I want to let my hair grow out again or cut it off. I need to shave this right here though. Gross. Anyway. Wow. Super important fantasy distraction talk. All right, let me open this up real quick. I didn't bother changing the YouTube description and stuff. I think that's fine. I mean, we're still going to be talking about 2024 plans and stuff like that for a while, so should be okay. I think I should open up. You want the hair flip again? I mean, if we grow the hair out for sure, hair flip is happening. I got a haircut, so like my original haircut was I went to a different guy because we moved, and the other guy was like where I used to live, and I really liked him, but I don't want to like go all the way there just to get a haircut. So I found a new place over here that the first one I tried over here I did not like. I think I've talked about that on stream before. And then the second person I tried, I liked them. So still not growing out quite as nice as it did from with the other guy, but I think if I let it grow as is right now, it should get to the hair flip stage. But I don't know. I don't know if I want it to be that long again. We'll have to see. All right, let me open up my Google Doc. I'm super like unprepared for the stream compared to last time. We were playing garbage League of Legends until like 11:10, and then I took like a quick break and then went live. So I am not quite as prepared as I was last week. I need a haircut, but too lazy to go. Yeah, I'm just kind of like whatever at this point. I should get a cut, but you know. All right, so let's talk about some stuff that we did. Wait, hold on. I gotta update a thing on YouTube real quick. Or not YouTube. I gotta check something on YouTube and update my files real quick. One, two. Okay, Tabor. So currently I am good to go until February 9th. I don't have to upload anything else until February 9th. That's how ahead I am right now. So, oh, your hair is past your butt? I haven't cut it since before COVID. That's crazy. Yeah, my mom's hair gets really, really long like that. The longest I've ever had it is what you guys have seen. That was like by far the longest I've ever had my hair. I normally don't let it grow out that long. I almost never let it grow out that long prior to streaming. And I guess it was also because of COVID for me too. I just kind of let it grow out during that time. Yeah, so our stuff is scheduled and ready to release from now until February 9th. I don't have to record anything. I don't have to write anything all the way up till February 9th. However, I'm still on weekends. I'm still focusing on getting more content out because, like I said, we want to get as much done. I honestly want everything scheduled up to like May before Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out, which is February 29th. So between now and February 29th, I need to get everything scheduled all the way up till May. And as of right now, I'm up to February 9th. So still have a lot of way to go, but the way I look at it is if I can upload 4 things, like schedule 4 things to go up every weekend, I should be okay. Because like if I do 4 things this weekend, that'll be February 23rd already. And then if I can push myself to do like a little extra, then we'll always be ahead. So that's kind of like my plan. But just real quick, we'll talk about some stuff here. Did I have a thing set up for this? Pretty sure I did something last week with this. Writing, streaming. Wait, this image saved, but not the other one? Sorry, I'm distracted by myself. Okay, you can ignore the Google Docs stuff because it's spoilery real quick, but I'm gonna switch up that. All right, so that's my stream. So you can kind of see like where we're at on the dashboard. Is there any reason I shouldn't show this? I have no idea. Let's just go to the regular channel. I have no clue. All right, so we released some videos this week. We released, well, we just released one so far this week. We just released the Kai video. Re-release of Fantasy Distraction number 2. And just with the word scrolling on the screen. Last week we released Natalie and we released the Jewel story. So viewership not quite where I wanted it to be. We only got 19 views on Natalie. We only got 8 on Kai, and that was yesterday's video. And we only got 21 on Jewel. The funny thing about Jewel is Jewel was at like 10 views, and then I changed some of the tags, and it went up to 21, and then it died again. So I don't know. I think I'm on like the right track with the tags, but then I used the same exact tags, excuse me, on Kai, and that only got 8 views. So I honestly have no idea. It feels like everything I I try to do that starts to work, it doesn't stick. And then I'm like scrambling to figure things out. But the biggest issue with it is I have trouble getting people to like and comment on it. So like if I share it in the Fantasy Distraction Discord, or I share it in my Discord, or I share it on Facebook or Twitter or wherever, it's like the people that I know will like those messages, or react to those messages with like emotes and stuff like that, but they'll not actually go and like and comment. So it's not actually helping my algorithm at all. And so like I release these videos and then they just kind of they get lost in the shuffle. So I'm trying to figure that out. I'm trying to just be consistent, and hopefully like the rest falls into place if I just keep like plugging away. But at the same time, like I want to see like improvement and growth, and the best way I'm going to do that is if I just kind of like learn what works and what doesn't work. So like whatever changes I made to Jewel kind of worked for Jewel and did not work for Kai though. So like ideally what I would want is like Natali got 19 views. Like I would want Kai to at least get more than the Natali video, because it's a week after and I should have done a better job like promoting this. I watched the Jewel and Kai ones and left likes, but I didn't comment, so I will next time. I appreciate you just like trust me, like I appreciate the watches, the views, the likes and stuff like that. The algorithm stuff is just from comments, so that's why like I harp on the comments so much. But like I totally understand like if you can or don't want to or whatever. But it's something that I'm always gonna like mention, just because like I think that's the only thing that actually really truly affects the algorithm. Like views are nice, and watch time is important too. Like I mean, when you think about, I have 195 videos on my channel and I only have 95 hours of watch time, and I need 4,000 to monetize. So that's brutal. And it keeps falling. Like our viewership is going up by like 159%, which is nice. I actually lost I lost a subscriber right before I started uploading again, and I was like, in fairness to them, I haven't been uploading. So like maybe they figure like, oh, this guy's channel's dead. I'm gonna unsubscribe, right? And then I uploaded the Natali video and I lost another subscriber. I was so tilted. I was so tilted. I hear that from other YouTubers as well. No worries, it helps push it out there more. Yeah, like it's basically the most important part, I believe, is comments. So it's tough. I mean, like, I get a little discouraged sometimes. I know like this is why they tell you not to look at numbers and stuff, but my problem isn't so much the numbers. My problem is like getting friends and family to engage with it. That's where I get like a little frustrated, because like if you look at the Fantasy Distraction Discord, let me pull up StreamLabs so I can read chat a little easier. Don't think about it too much. You have to think more positive rather than look at the loss. Yeah. So like if I look at, the thing that bugs me is like if I look at Fantasy Distractions Discord, like how many members we have, and it's mostly just the people that are helping me with the project. Like I guess I just expect those people to help. And maybe that's like not how I should look at it, but like if every single person in that Discord like and commented, even if they did it like half on one video, half on the other video, or just showed up for some videos or whatever, like we would probably be doing okay algorithm wise, because we'd probably have like 10 plus more comments than we get per video. I didn't know there was a Discord. Yeah, I didn't promote the Discord because it's I was kind of just using it for the like voice actors, guest writers, people like I didn't open it to the public really. We were gonna make it like a Patreon perk and stuff like that. So yeah, that's why you didn't know, because I didn't promote it at all. Because I was kind of just using it for us for the time being. Like the only section I really posted other than like when I'm doing stuff like this is behind the scenes, which is like where I just tell the voice actors, guest writers, people like that what's happening, what I'm up to, stuff like that. So yeah, I wasn't really I didn't really promote it, so there would be no way to actually be in there because I didn't tell anybody. So that's no fault of yours, Kitty. It's literally just I didn't share it. Or fault of mine for that matter, because we just weren't sharing it. But yeah, so like that's the stuff that frustrates me more. So like when it comes to just pure like organic viewers and stuff, like that's my essentially my job when it comes to that. Um Promoting it, doing the tags, manipulating things that will change the viewership that we get in the algorithm from like behind the scenes is that's on me. Like, I could be promoting it better. I could be doing better tags. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to figure that out. Like, I've been doing this for almost 3.5 years, and I still don't know. And it still feels very like finicky and like there's a luck factor to it. So it's hard to figure out. So I'm still working on that on my end. It's just the algorithm stuff. I feel like we could be manipulating a bit better if people help me out more. If that makes sense. I don't know. I'm just ranting and complaining probably, but I could tell our friends to comment on YouTube. I think most listen on Spotify. Yeah, that would be awesome. I'm starting to upload new stuff to Spotify as well. There should be a new thing going up on Spotify tomorrow. Um, So I'm starting to use the Spotify a bit more. I kind of super fell off on that. So I'm uploading stuff to Spotify again. But yeah, like the YouTube. Honestly, even if it's just until we get monetized, like I really would just like to get monetized because even if we're making just like a tiny little bit of money from it, that would go a long way because then I could take that money and I can put it back in and hopefully eventually get like more art made, animation, stuff like that, pay people off that I still owe. So it's like it's I understand that a lot of it is my like stuff I have to do, but any outside help I can get, I would appreciate. That's basically what I'm saying. Not necessarily to anybody like watching the stream or in chat right now, but just like a general like friends and family help me out a little bit more. It could speed up the process instead of me just trial and erroring everything and just hoping I get lucky. Yeah, that happens sometimes, Monsword, and that's okay. Like the exposure, like when it comes to Twitter, I don't really care about like followers and stuff like that. But sharing it is huge. Sharing it is awesome. Like, you never know. Like people will click on it, check it out. It's just a matter of getting in front of the right people. So any kind of exposure, like even if you're getting the followers from it, I appreciate you sharing it too because that's potential extra exposure for us that I couldn't get myself. That makes sense. But yeah, so that's where we're at with last week going into this week. The Kai one only got 8 views. I mean, at the same time, we are uploading old videos, so I guess the more important thing would be, um, I should put these closer to each other. I guess the more important thing would be the one we're releasing on Friday. If I could get that one to have more views than the Jewel one. So we have a continuation of the story coming out on Friday. So I'm hoping that it could top 21 views. We'll see what happens though. The other thing that's weird about YouTube I've noticed is like at some point this showed me this was at 22 views and I like lost a view somewhere and I don't know how that works. Like how do you lose views? Like did it not update correctly? Did it like I don't know. I've noticed that I lose views sometimes. I've never heard of that before. The other thing I did this week is I uploaded a couple of shorts and they didn't do nearly as good as I wanted. I tried to capitalize on this one because this is when we were talking about the artist class for Aiden's character in the RPG Maker that we were working on like 100 years ago. Because they just announced an artist class for Final Fantasy 14 like a couple of hours before I uploaded this. So I was like, oh, let me try to like capitalize on that job class coming up for Final Fantasy 14. So I uploaded this. I like tagged Final Fantasy 14 and I tried to like capitalize on that and it didn't get like any views. Got 7 views. This one got 41, which isn't too bad, and this one got 10. But I don't know. I'm trying everything, chat. I'm trying my best. It ain't easy. Pictomancer, yeah. When they announced Pictomancer, I woke up, I saw that they announced Pictomancer, and I was like, oh, we were talking about our paintbrush class on stream. Kitty, I see your message on YouTube also. Thank you for the view over there. Yeah, any views on a live stream on YouTube actually counts toward those watch hours I was talking about, so that's pretty cool. I gotta share that I am live in the Fantasy Distraction Discord, actually. All right. Okay, so let's see. We got a few things we're gonna do tonight. We're gonna talk about what's coming up in the week for Fantasy Distractions and the channel. We're gonna talk about we're gonna do some more of my old A Soldier's Crest stuff. We're gonna read a little bit more of that for funsies. And then maybe we're gonna work on the Choose Your Own Adventure stuff a little bit. So let's jump into what's coming up this week for Fantasy Distractions, and then we'll talk about that other stuff. I already mentioned that we released the Kai story yesterday. Tomorrow will be Fantasy Short number 2 coming out on Spotify. And then Thursday, we're adding Fantasy Distraction number 12 to Royal Road. I should talk about those stories specifically, though, because honestly, I don't remember them by number either. So Fantasy Distraction number 12, that's going up on Royal Road. That's going to be Birch. So the Birch story is going up on there. I was actually talking about Birch on last night's stream. No, I think I was talking to Sarah about it. Birch is basically I'm not sure if it needs its own window, Kitty. I'm not sure how that works. I really don't know how anything on I don't know how anything on YouTube works as far as that stuff goes, to be honest. Yo, Vengeance, what's up? Yeah, we dropped Kai yesterday, the word scroll version. And Birch is going up. So Birch, if you guys haven't watched that one, that is about a mercenary who is from this town called Brexen, and he's called the Brexen Butcher because he only takes jobs in Brexen to kill people in Brexen. So he kind of gets this like reputation, this really bad reputation in Brexen, and that's where he does most of his jobs in. And the other mercenaries kind of get annoyed with him because of that. And they decide, yeah, what's up, guy? Oh, there's another guy. We also have Archive. We have Archive, and then we have Fantasy Distraction Kai, which I don't consider Archive Fantasy Distraction Kai. I consider Kai our Kai, the streams Kai, the people's Kai. Yeah, it's basically what it is. It's like I just hate the people here, so I'm just gonna kill people here. So what happens is like the other mercenaries, because Birch is taking like all these jobs to kill people within Brexen, the other mercenaries grow to like despise him and hate him. So one day he like walks into like the bar where they get their jobs from, and he there's just one job on the board, and he walks over to the board and it just says his name on it, and the bar is full of mercenaries. So all the mercenaries get up and they attack him. But there are these two other characters that are known for roaming with him now, but not at this moment. Like this is the moment where they kind of find each other, and they're also mercenaries. One is a witch named Zayla, and the other one is like a, your stereotypical like rogue like character, um, named Luxie, and they team up with him and help him kill all the mercenaries, and that's when they form their alliance. But that story, that was the 12th fantasy distraction that we ever released, so that one's been up for a while. But we're releasing the written form of that on Royal Road on Thursday. And then Fantasy Short number 2 is going up on Spotify. That should also be a Kai story. Yes, that fantasy short is called Kai, A Peaceful Day. I don't think I re-recorded that one. I re-recorded a lot of the ones that I recorded for Spotify because I didn't really like the audio quality on the YouTube version. So, excuse me. The version that's coming out on Spotify tomorrow should actually be way better quality than the one that's on YouTube. So, whenever we get around to actually re-releasing the fantasy shorts on the main channel, the quality should be a lot better. I use the Spotify and these word scroll versions to kind of right some of my wrongs because I did not like a lot of my recordings, especially early on when my setup wasn't as good. I really didn't like how they came out, so I'm actually getting a do-over on a lot of the ones I don't like. Which is kind of nice. Oh, I'm gonna pronounce that wrong. Hoilepa? Hello from Germany. Hello. I probably butchered that. Please correct me. I just shared your stream over on Twitter, mentioning both here and YouTube. Thank you, Sword. Awesome, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're trying to get the word out as much as we can. I'm trying to be a little more aggressive because I have everything like scheduled and ready to go. Ahead of time, I get to like spend a little more time focusing on the promotional side of things. So it's pretty nice. Everybody does that? Okay, I don't feel too bad, but I still would like to get it right. So Fantasy Distraction number 2 is also a Kai short story. I always picture Kai as kind of like a Vash the Stampede kind of character. So I really wanted like a Vash style voice for him, but obviously I can't do that because Johnny Young Bosch is Johnny Young Bosch and I'm a nobody. But I do my best. And I was trying to go for like a when they do the previews for the new episodes on Trigun, the original Trigun, not the new Trigun. I don't know if they do the previews on the new one, but that's what I was like going for, like that kind of like, somber recap that he does. That's what I was shooting for. So I probably didn't deliver quite the performance that I wanted, but I tried my best. But that one's going up on Spotify tomorrow. So that one I can't remember if I re-recorded that one or not. I believe I did. Sorry, I have something in my eye. I believe I did. So that should be brand new audio on that when it comes out tomorrow. I did these like a couple of weeks ago, so I don't really remember. Some of them I re-recorded, some of them I didn't. Then we have on Friday, it'll be the second part of the story we released last Friday about Jewel. This one is called Nouvelle, which if you listen to Jewel, Nouvelle is the poet that she's like obsessed with. That's like her crush. And that is, I think I changed the name of this on the scheduled version. Let me double check this real quick. Let's see. Yeah. Oh yeah. So the name of the episode that's coming out Friday is called Nouvelle, A Dream Within Oblivo World. I wanted one of those like cheesy, like X-Men kind of like alternate universes. So Yeah. I have a couple of days to decide if I want to change that or not, but yeah. It's called Oblivo World. It's like Oblivion World, but all one word. Yeah, so enjoy that. That's a thing that's happening on Friday. Um so that one's fun. I don't want to spoil too much about it, but that one's coming soon. And then I can talk about this because it's stuff we already released, but Monday will be the re-release with the word scrolling of the Eden story that Derpy recorded for us. So that one's coming out Monday. So that's pretty much it as far as stuff that's coming up. Stuff that we did last week, stuff that's happening this week. And yeah. So let's see. Do we want to do... I should have mapped out this stream a little bit better like I did last week because I felt very like structured last week and I feel like I'm all over the place in this one. So we have some options. Do we want to read old Soldier's Crest stuff that's like really cheesy and funny and weird? Do we want to maybe read some of the stories that have come out? Like, like the Kai one. Do we want to mess around with that a little bit? Because that's one I did not re-record for the word scroll version. That one I just put up as is, but could be fun maybe to do it live. And then we have the choose your own adventure thing. But I'd like to do the choose your own adventure thing last, I think. Let me see. Let me open up the old Soldier's Crest stuff too, real quick. When you guys look at the stream, does it look shaky? Because the desk shakes a little bit. So I have it standing, and the desk shakes a little bit, and I think it shakes my tripod that has the camera. Does it look shaky to you guys, or is it fine? Am I just tripping? Not for me? Okay. No problem for me? Okay, cool. Yeah, I can't really tell if it like when I look at Streamlabs and I do it, I can't tell if it's like moving, but like for me, it like I feel it. Yeah, Monster Ward. Last week we were reading the Kitty said it looks fine too. Okay. Last week we were reading the RPG Maker story we were working on together. That I never finished and never even started to make the game. But we were reading some of our ideas and concepts for that because I was talking about doing like a choose your own adventure thing on here as a group. And it made me think of when we did the RPG Maker story. So the fantasy stories that we write, so it's called fantasy distractions, but our genres are like kind of all over the place. Like we do a little like sci-fi, we do a little mystery, we do a little horror, but most of it is like kind of just your typical medieval fantasy kind of stories. But the way it's done is in an anthology style format. So basically, you can drop in and out of any story and not be lost. Like that was the premise from the jump. However, we do have like an underlying storyline going on, so that if you do watch all of them, there's like Easter eggs and there's some references to older um episodes, but like it's done in a way that like you wouldn't be lost. So in other words, like if you watch the episode that came out Friday, or like we just did a Halloween special on Halloween, the stories we released before that, you wouldn't necessarily be lost. Well, you wouldn't be lost at all on those. And then when I was releasing like the season 2 episodes, like those are continuations of each other. So unless I specifically like specify if it's a continuation, you could literally watch like Fantasy Distraction number like 40 and not be lost, if that makes sense. And then, like I said, we do reward people for watching everything at the same time. And then Mistral asked me what. How long was Soldier's Crest overall? Out of curiosity, like how many chapters or pages for the whole book? I believe it was like 3. I want to say I actually have a copy handy. I think I could tell you. Hold on. I'm getting confused on my windows now. You could just stay on Twitch, Kitty. It's okay. I appreciate you trying to give me the watch time on YouTube, though. Fantasy's broad term in general, from Tolkien over Star Wars. Yeah, so I'd say we're more like Tolkien, like Lord of the Rings style fantasy for the most part. The Kai story we just released yesterday, he's a cyborg samurai in space. So that's probably a little more like sci-fi, Star Wars-y than the stuff we normally release. And we have some stuff that takes place in space, but for the most part, we're grounded on a single continent/planet called Fenrir. And that's where most of our stories take place. And that's like just traditional Tolkien style fantasy, if that makes sense. Yo, what's up, Pizza King? Yeah, the war story, yeah. Right. So the war story that Monsword's talking about, that is kind of like the underlying story that we tell kind of in the background. And then it was starting to come to the forefront, but it was becoming a little too it was kind of taking us away from like the concept of fantasy distraction. So I'm dialing it back now, but we're still doing it. Like it's still happening. It's just I wanted to get back to basics for the start of this year, and then we'll figure it out. Cyborg Samurai in Space sound like a fanfic. Yeah, it's based everything that we're writing here is basically like my fanfics, essentially. Just chilling, being consumed by Mass Effect. Nice. How goes it? Interesting setup. Yeah, my basement is a mess. I actually found out this bag right here. That's actually my green screen that we used to use back in the day, like years ago. Um, there's a you can't see it on stream obviously, but there's like a spider web from like my bag to this. This is a printer over here. I could show you. Hold on. I could get a little closer. I don't know if you'll be able to see. I don't know if you'll be able to see the. Thank you for that follow. Let's check it out in a sec. I could zoom in. Check this out. So this is all stuff we're gonna eBay. That's all my eBay junk over there. Oh, I'm way too zoomed in now. That's all our eBay junk over there. And then my green screen. And there is a printer. Still can't see it, even zoomed in. There's a printer over here. There's like a spider web from here to there. But I don't see a spider. So I ain't about that life. This camera is probably the greatest thing I've ever gotten. But yeah, that's why it's a mess. It's a mess down here because we just moved and I'm in the basement, so all of our junk is just kind of like piled in a corner. But yeah, thank you for the hydrate. The camera shenanigans. Yeah, we could do a lot. I just I haven't really used it too much. Let me get a copy of A Soldier's Crest. Hold on one second. I actually don't have a copy handy because we've been cleaning out. So we have like a storage room. The camera can't show that, but we have a storage room like right next to where I am, and we've been cleaning that out. But they piled everything on top of where my books are. So I actually don't have a copy handy down here. I might have one upstairs in my room, but I'm a bad author. What can I say? Was there not a cyborg samurai in space as an enemy in Mass Effect 3? There might be. I don't remember. I haven't played Mass Effect in so long. I wouldn't be surprised though. The war was technically supposed to be their main plot of season 2, and season 1 was basically the intro that leads into it, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so our first season was like 50 episodes, and the 50th episode was like a setup for the wartime stuff. And then season 2, we were going to switch over to a more of like a audio play style, and it was just going to be all the war stuff, but we did not commit as hard to that. So we ended up scrambling a little bit, and then we weren't as consistent as we were being. I lost like 2 years worth of content basically, and now we're back to being consistent. We're just kind of dancing around the war stuff still. We're not committing super hard. I did release 3 episodes of our wartime stuff, but I didn't have enough of the recordings and everything done to do anything past that, and I didn't want to really, because the quality would have dropped off so much if I just read it myself past episode 3 that it would not have really been worth doing. So I'd rather like go back to the way we were doing things and then revisit it later, if that makes sense. When we're able to. In the meantime, I've just been releasing like we released some t-shirts. So I did some like t-shirt stories. I did some little like one shots here and there. I did some mini series. We were kind of all over the place for like the last year or two. But now we're a little more structured, and we're a little more back to the way we were in the first year, I should say. So we'll get back to the straight up like wartime stuff. But for now, we're just kind of like dancing around it again. And I'm doing some characters from Soldier's Crest coming up. We released one. I released a Dawn story back in September. She's a character from Soldier's Crest. Soldier's Crest is my first book that I self-published. The one I was going to show you if I could dig it out, but it would take too long, I think, for me to grab one. We got a couple more coming up. We have after the Nouvelle story that's coming out on Friday, which is also set in the current Fantasy Distraction universe on Fenrir, but it takes place on a continent that's to the north of the continent that currently has the war stuff going on. So it's like adjacent, but they don't mention the war stuff quite as much. And then we have Eden on Monday. The story that's next Friday is about this guy Wyglaf, who is also a character from a Soldier's Crest. So we're doing a couple of Soldier's Crest stories. The only reason why we're doing those is I had this crazy idea to do 365 short stories. I was going to do a short story every day for a year, and I wrote like 80 of them, and I had some people record them, and I never used those recordings. So the reason why we're releasing these to start off the year is just so I could use those recordings. So they were already like done and ready to go, and I just never actually got to release them. So that's why we're starting off with those, just because they're already like done and ready to go. But we will be slipping in a lot of Fenrir stuff in between too, though. Plus, we have like the word scroll versions of the original Fantasy Distractions coming out. Those will also kind of keep us tethered to Fenrir in the meantime, even though we're dabbling a little bit in a Soldier's Crest. But it's designed in a way that it shouldn't be confusing, and there's still stories that are standing alone. You know, like they're stories that are just interesting stories that you don't need to know anything that's happening in the other stories to like appreciate them. So yeah, that's what's going to be happening for a little while. There's a couple of fantasy Soldier's Crest stories, and then it's all back to Fantasy Distractions. All right. I opened up the old Soldier's Crest stuff, but if I had to like give a ballpark number for Soldier's Crest. I don't remember exactly how many pages it is printed out, but it's roughly like 300. I think it's like 340-ish pages. To get back to your original question after I went off on a tangent, Mistral. It's pretty long. The books that came after the first book, I think I went a little shorter. They just gradually get shorter because I was enjoying writing shorter form content. And this is even before we did Fantasy Distractions, because I released a prequel to A Soldier's Crest that was only like 100 pages, and then I released a Mira side story that was also only like 100 pages. And I was enjoying writing the like shorter form content a lot more. So I don't think any of my like major books will be like over 200 pages anymore. I don't see myself writing them to be that long anymore. All right, let me open the Choose Your Own Adventure stuff too. We'll get everything open and then we'll just start knocking stuff off. We're about a half hour past when they said the weather. I'm gonna jinx it probably, but we're about a half hour past when they said the weather was gonna be really bad. So maybe we'll be okay. Fingers crossed. All right, we'll read a little bit of the original Soldier's Crest because I was able to make a lot of like TikTok clips and stuff from it because it's pretty hilarious. We'll do that first, and then maybe we'll do some Choose Your Own Adventure stuff because I really want to work on that. I don't think I have anything else really to talk about schedule wise, like what's coming. I basically broke it down for you guys. This is my fault because I couldn't really structure this stream as well as I did last time. Was it in the final book or a rough draft from before? The original A Soldier's Crest, the stuff we were reading last week, you mean? Mistral? Or something else? I also got a follow that I did not acknowledge. I apologize. Oh, it was Holepa, that I'm probably still pronouncing incorrectly. Oh, you mean like the Soldier's Crest stuff that we're releasing as fantasy distractions? Because those are just like, I consider them like one shots, I guess, about the characters. Like I can give you an example. I mean, the Wyglaff one comes out next week. I could read you that one. They're all pretty short. But that is stuff that did not take place in the books. The only thing we've released that is directly from the books, we released a thing called A Soldier's Crest #1 because I thought we were gonna release a whole bunch of these. Soldier's Crest #1, Introduction to Chroma and the Stratus. That is basically the entire prequel. Not prequel. Why can't I think of what it's called at the beginning of a book before the main story? Am I crazy? A prologue. Thank you. Thank you, Google. I don't know why. I literally forgot that word existed. Um, it's the exact prologue from the book, like word for word, verbatim. We just had Peepo read it for us. So if you want to hear the like introduction to the book, basically, that's it. But that just like sets the stage for the fantasy elements that come in later. So the way the book works is it's a post-apocalyptic uh world that's been reverted into medieval times. So there are these like geothermal bombs, which we mentioned last week when we were reading the Synthro stuff. I almost called them Sephiroth again. When we were reading the Synthro stuff, I mentioned like geothermal bombs. So basically, like the Earth wants to colonize the moon. They have a bid to colonize the moon. There's a Russian scientist who has put in all of the work to colonize said moon. Of course, America wins the bid. And the Russian scientist is not too happy about it. We go to colonize said moon. We find out that moons. I love this concept. By the way, me and my friends that I used to work with at Anime Castle came up with this concept. Moons are prisons for demons that angels use. So when we go to colonize the moon and we start like drilling and digging on the moon, we release a bunch of demons. And those demons follow us back to Earth. And we find out that elves have been in hiding on the Earth the whole time. And the elves come out of hiding to help us stop the demons, and they help us. But while we're fighting the demons and dealing with the demons, the Russian scientist guy creates these geothermal bombs, and he puts them like all over the world. And we essentially go to war. The world gets completely decimated, and the world goes back to just having like one continent, essentially. And the waters surrounding that continent are really like bad and aggressive, basically, because of all the issues that happened with the moon. So that singular continent is called Chroma. I mentioned that a little bit when we were talking about Synthro and Rayo last week. So the continent, the main continent that the Soldier's Crest takes place on is called Chroma, and it's pretty messed up. But it reverts back to medieval times because everything gets destroyed. And there is this woman, Simone, who the introduction is focused on. Like most of the introduction is about her, if you listen to Peepo's reading. And Simone is a very unique case where she has these special cells. So these angels come down to Earth to kind of like salvage what's left. And they enhance Simone's cells and make her immortal. And basically, she is essentially in charge of helping repopulate the Earth. And they make it where she gets pregnant every year without having sex. And every time she gets pregnant, she has a child with a brand new like genetic code. So like technically it's not incest. And she just like not single-handedly repopulates the world because there are people who are also alive. But she basically repopulates most of the earth herself. And then she becomes what's known as like the Earth Mother, and the angels give her like a section of the world that's just like kind of protected no matter what happens. It's like a safe haven essentially. And that's where she kind of like operates out of. And then outside of that, they make all of these kingdoms. So that's where those kingdoms that I was talking about in the she basically became a breeding stock, yeah. And the stuff we were talking about last week, where I was like, they were called like the Dark Army and the Holy Army and the Blue Army and stuff like that. Like those kingdoms are what are set up. They're not called that in the actual book, but that's what they set up after. And then fast forward a couple of 100 years, and you have the start of our main character's story. So I should maybe after we read the original, I should just read A Soldier's Crest live. Maybe. Little side note, Joe, you still have my old profile in the description of your stories. That one is now only for random stuff. Perhaps you could change that from the next upload forward. Yeah, send me the right one on Discord. Or just send it to me in chat right now, and I'll fix it. I'll fix it right now. Because I have a bunch of videos scheduled to release. I'll go in and fix them. I can fix them in the old ones too, for you. That'll take me a little longer, but I can definitely do it. It's the least I could do for you, Monsword. Seriously. Maybe, yeah, so maybe after we read the original, maybe I'll just read the actual book live. I've never done that. I've never read my the spin-offs either. Like the Mira short story is so much fun, dude. I gotta continue that at some point too. I love writing that character. She's probably my favorite character to write by far. Still can't find anybody to voice her. I really want to release some fantasy distraction stuff with Mira in it. I can't find the right person to voice her. But I would love to do Mira stuff. Okay, so we'll read some. So this is just to give a little backstory. We read the first 2 chapters last week. This is the original Soldier's Crest. Now, to give a little backstory on that to those who were not here last week, I started writing A Soldier's Crest when I was in high school, and I was big time into anime. So there's a lot of cheesy, stereotypical anime stuff going on. I mentioned like that anime teen angst going on, and for the most part, my writing was not great. Okay, so it's not the best. It's also written in like a very script style, so it's very like scene, this is what's happening, person who's talking, this is what they say, scene, so on and so forth. So you'll be hearing me say like, you know, a character's name and then reading what they're saying, or like what the scene is. I had intended for it to become an anime, which I thought was pretty funny. I made a TikTok out of that one. I was reading something last week, and nowhere in the story has it mentioned that it's like supposed to be a TV show. But there's a point where I say like the camera pans, and I was just like, "What? Why is the camera panning?" Do you want to have the link to the profile or just a tag? Whatever you want, Monstroid. I can link to your profile if you want. I can just put a tag. However you want to do it. I will gladly put it up exactly the way you want it. The edginess, yeah, it was super edgy. So just to recap chapter 1 and 2 real fast. Valak is the name of the main character. That stayed from this to the normal Soldier's Crest. Valak is the main character in both. Valak is living in a town called Chaos, which is also a town in A Soldier's Crest, but we don't really get there for a very long time. And he is kind of like shunned and avoided and hated a little bit. I can actually share this to make it easier for everybody as we go through. We found out Tim was in it. I didn't know Tim was in here. I didn't know Tim was in the original. I wouldn't even meet Tim for like probably 2 or 3 more years after I wrote this, but yeah, so Valak is kind of living on his own in chaos. You're gonna see the typos and stuff too. But this is my original. Okay, I wrote this when I was in high school, so cut me some slack. Here's the link. Okay, cool. Let me grab that real quick. I'm just gonna swap. Oh, I didn't even swap the scene because I'm a pro streamer, by the way. Let me grab this. I'm leaving myself a note real quick. All right, I just wrote myself a note. Anything coming out past this point, Modsword, will have the right one on it, and I will add it to the old ones as well when I get the opportunity. If for some reason I release something and it's still the wrong one, just let me know because I have a lot of things scheduled and it's possible like when I go in to change them, like I might mess up or I might miss one or something. So if you notice it at any point that it's wrong, just let me know and I'll fix it. But I should be able to handle that. Okay. Let me do this correctly this time. Yeah, so we meet Valak. He's wearing a red t-shirt with a dragon on the front, which I thought was pretty funny. He's like, whatever, people don't like me. They're shunning me. He meets Tim, he buys some food, and then he returns to his house. And when he returns home, there is a character named Raven, who is an angel with black wings. She's also in the original, the real A Soldier's Crest. The newer one, I guess. I don't know how to word that, but she's in the real one. But she's not nearly as important as she is in this. He also meets this giant human being in a red metal armor, named Excalibur, who is also in a real Soldier's Crest and has like a very minimal role in the real one. But he meets them, and they ask him to join them for a quest. He kind of refuses because he doesn't do that thing anymore because he's a retired Dragon Knight, which is completely different from the original where he's just a Dragon Knight. He refuses. The village gets attacked by a monster that I essentially describe as a behemoth from Final Fantasy. And he defeats that monster, kind of gets the itch for battle again, and they're like, oh, you're pretty good at saving people, you should join us. And then he decides to join them. And then we get a sneak peek at a battle that's happening with the Dark Army and the Holy Army, where the Holy Army is finally about to defeat the Dark Army. This king named Rebel, who is the king of the Bawal Empire, which is the Dark Army in regular Soldier's Crest. He gets desperate, and they have a prisoner who he releases from prison to help them defeat the Holy Army. And I believe we left off where that prisoner, whose name is Synthro, defeats a bunch of the Holy Army soldiers, and then he's about to fight Max. Yeah, she is basically a fallen or dark angel because of the dark wings. Yeah, so the way it works with Raven is that she has black wings, but she isn't necessarily like a fallen or dark angel. She is just different. She's different than the other angels because of her black wings, and they kind of shun her in the way that Valak's kind of being shunned in this. I don't think I go into it much in the OG, and I reference it very little in book 1 of A Soldier's Crest, but she becomes more important in book 2. What we could do is depending on how many of these streams we get to do and how far along we go, I wouldn't even mind reading some of like book 2 to you guys too, which has never been released. So we'll see how far we get and how much people are like feeling the Soldier's Crest stuff, and maybe we'll do some of that also. It'll take us a really long time to get through this because this is like 70 chapters, I think, and it'll take us really long to get through the first book because, like I said, that's like 340 something pages. So we'll see how everybody feels about it when we get to there, I guess. Okay. Would you guys rather me read it with the words on the screen, or would you rather me read it where I'm just on the screen and I'm reading it to you? What do you guys prefer? Do you want to see the writing or not? Any preference on that? You don't mind either? I guess I'll just do it the way both isn't an option. You want to see what the writing on the screen and me, or full screen me? Like the way it is now, or like this? And I'm just reading it. I should send you that vertical plugin thing tomorrow so you can record TikToks while I'm here. And yeah, like the TikToks I've been releasing from the last stream that we did, we were full screen like this. So should I just leave it like this for consistency's sake, I guess? You want the words on screen, Kitty? Okay. We can do that. We can do that. Totally not playing Monster Hunter World. I've been having a lot of fun with that. Honestly, like, I mean, let's face it, it's because I'm not streaming League anymore. But my streams since I started streaming for the new year, I've been having like so much fun. Between like Monster Hunter, the 7 remake stream we did last week, the writing streams, I've been like my passion for streaming, I guess if you could call it that, has been reignited. You could say. Up to you. I'm probably going to sleep. All right, man. I appreciate you hanging out in the meantime, in between time. All right, let's read this mess. This one is called Chapter 3, Unfair Fight. Max is ready to strike. Synthro continues to stand there, not worried at all. He still hasn't taken his sword back out. Synthro walks back down the steps leading to the door he originally came out of. Should be of, not off. He pushes the hair from his face and laughs. Typical bad guy move. Also very typical Sephiroth move. If you remember the OG Final Fantasy VII, Sephiroth was always doing this. Like, he had block hands, obviously, because the OG, they were just like blocks. But, you know, he would do that a lot and push his hair out of his face. They did away with that in Remake and everything else, I feel. Hello, Spartan from YouTube chat. I believe they're different people. Synthro, do you really believe you could beat me, Max? They say you're the greatest soldier in the Holy Army. You have everything going for you. Why lose it all here? Max, enough talk. I don't need to hear this from you. I will create my own legend by ending yours. Max is like super laid back in real Soldier's Crest, by the way. He's not this anime aggressive. Synthro, I can't tell if you're the bravest man I've ever met or the dumbest. Max runs at Synthro and leaps up in the air with his sword striking straight down. Synthro simply sidesteps him and punches Max directly in the stomach. Max spits up blood, of course, immediately, as his eyes widen from complete shock. Synthro gives him an uppercut, sending him back a bit, then grabs him by the neck and throws him forward. Max goes sliding along the hard ground and smacks into a portion of the castle wall. Max rolls over slightly and stabs his sword into the ground, using it to get back up. He doesn't have much time to collect himself, though, as Synthro is right in front of him with his sword fully drawn. Max blocks it barely at the last second. Synthro has him pinned against a portion of the castle wall. Their swords are clashing together. Max looks back over the wall, and there is nothing but trees beneath. It's a long fall. Synthro, you're no match for me, Max. Face it. This is the end. Synthro pushes Max over the wall as he goes crashing through the trees and out of sight. Synthro shakes his head and laughs as he returns inside the castle. He stands before Rebel. Synthro, problem solved. Rebel grins. Now give me details of Harley's location, or I'll have your blood on my sword next. Oh yeah, they're looking for this girl named Harley, who she's basically Harley Quinn. She is not in the real Soldier's Crest. We scrapped that character completely. She's more, think more Harley from Chrono Cross if you ever played Chrono Cross. That's who she was actually designed after. But Harley from Chrono Cross is basically like also very similar to Harley Quinn. So yeah, that character scrapped. Rebel walks over to Synthro. Meanwhile, Dariel has just heard news of what happened. Dariel, understood. Go back and report to father. The soldier who told him of what happened walks off. You, he points at another soldier. Tell the remaining survivors to retreat. We cannot continue to fight if they have Synthro on their side. The numbers we lose would have been even greater than what we lost already. Now he's thinking. If Max has fallen, I couldn't possibly stand up against Synthro, but I must find out more. He looks over at a nearby cave. I wonder what's in there. Perhaps a secret passage. He looks down. I must check it out. I must prove that I am better and more important than Max will ever be to my father, our king. Dariel quickly moves in. Oh, I just went straight into this stuff. Dariel quickly moves into the cave. He walks down as there is a door closed. He begins to pound on the door, but it doesn't budge. He searches around the door and finds nothing. Disappointed, he leans against the wall and puts his head back. His head hits into a secret switch, and the door opens immediately. Shocked and excited, he enters quickly, but the door behind him closes. It's pitch black inside. Suddenly, in the middle of the room, a small fire starts. There is a lantern. Dariel walks over and picks it up. He begins to check the walls for an exit. What he finds instead is a big statue of a female demon. Her hair is made of snakes, similar to the myth of the Gorgon Medusa. He's face to face with the statue when suddenly the eyes open. Expecting it to come alive, he jumps back quickly, but instead it doesn't move. He just hears a voice. I do a lot of unidentified voices, but unidentified voice. Do you seek power? Dariel, yes! I don't know why. This makes me think of M. Bison, the M. Bison meme. Yes, this is delicious. Unidentified voice. By any means? She's supposed to be a snake, I guess. I don't honestly remember this. Dariel, yes, I would do anything to be stronger than Max and prove my worth. Suddenly, everything turns bright in the room. The room is full of statues like the one talking to Dariel. All different monsters and demons are decorating the room. Dariel is a bit scared of what he's getting himself into. One of the statues does come to life, a small demon girl. She looks about 18 to 20 years old, but is probably ancient. She is beautiful. Dariel, who are you? I was very specific about ages in this, which is weird. Dariel, who are you? Draconia. I am known as Draconia. I am here to serve you, my king. Dariel, your king? Suddenly, something shoots out of the Medusa-looking statue and stings Dariel in the back. He lets out a gasp as he loses consciousness. As he falls, Draconia catches him. A loud crash is heard. Max smashes through a roof and lands perfectly onto a bed, conveniently. He lucked out. Yeah, you think? 3 people immediately run into the room. Valak, what the hell? Question mark and exclamation mark continues. Raven, friends of yours? Valak, I'm not that crazy. Looks up. My ceiling! Excalibur, he seems to have lost consciousness before landing here. He walks over. This armor is that of the Holy Army. Raven, Synthro is free. It has begun. Valak looks confused. To be continued. End of episode 3. Chapter 4 is just called Start Button. So I guess we'll just commit to 2 chapters a week, I guess, is how we'll do it. And then we'll work on some other stuff. We could read some more unreleased fantasy distraction stuff. And then work on the choose your own adventure stuff. We'll see. I kind of want like a structured way of doing these streams just so that it's easier for us to kind of like commit to that. Yeah, no problem, Mistral. We're gonna do one more chapter. We'll see. We'll see where this one goes. I honestly don't remember. I know in this one Max loses his memory. More, yeah. End of episode 3, chapter 4. I had everything figured out clearly. End of episode 3, chapter 4. Yeah, I think we'll do stuff like that. We'll have more of like a structured approach to these streams. I just didn't have time to plan this one out. Episode 4, chapter 4. Chapter 4, start button. Valak and Raven are sitting at a small dinner table in Valak's home. Valak, so what are we supposed to do about that knight that fell through my ceiling? Raven, isn't it obvious? We take him with us. Valak, are you crazy? He does a lot of question mark, exclamation mark. People are bound to recognize this guy. Raven, true. We'll just give him some of your clothes. Valak, and if he refuses, like the clothes with the dragons on them? Valak, and if he refuses? Raven, then we'll just let him go on his own. He will probably need us more than we need him. Valak, well, I hope he wakes up soon. I want some answers. Raven, if he did fight Synthro up on top of the Holy Army Castle, he's lucky he's still breathing. Didn't even look like... Actually, they were at the Dark Army Castle. Not the Holy Army. He's lucky he's still breathing. Didn't even look like he was cut badly or anything. I don't know a whole lot about the individual members of each army, but he looked like a higher tier soldier. Not high ranked, he's higher tier. That mark on his armor usually means someone important. Valak, well, that's a start. We know he isn't just some rookie on the force who fell off the wall on his own. I wish I wasn't so out of the loop. Since leaving the Dark Army, I haven't even cared about anything outside this little town. Excalibur enters the room. Excalibur, he's awake. Valak and Raven get up and join Excalibur as they enter the room. Max lays there holding his head and leaning over to the side. Once seeing people, he sits up fast. Excuse me. Max, who are you? Also, question mark, exclamation mark. Valak, I'm Valak. That's my bed you fell on. Raven, she sticks out her arm towards Valak's chest. Relax, Valak. She turns her attention to Max. Sorry about him. He's a little upset that you ruined his roof. I will go now. Work is calling. I wish you all a wonderful and God bless day. Same to you. Thank you so much for coming through. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for joining the Discord. Appreciate you. Max. He looks up and laughs. Sorry about that. Raven. My name is Raven, an angel from the village of Halosi. I guess it's more like Halosi. I never said that word out loud. That name, the name of that town is also in... It's more of like a Halosi kind of thing. This here next to me is Excalibur. Feel free to call him X. And the upset guy and owner of this little home is Valak. He means well, I promise. Now I gave you our introductions. What's your name? Max. Me? Well? Puts his hand on his chin as the others look confused. I think it's Max. I can't remember much more. Raven, you lost your memory? What happened to you to bring you here? Max, I can't remember. It's all just a blur. Valak, you've got to be kidding me. All in caps. First you break my roof, crash on my bed, barely remember your name, and are completely useless for helping us get any form of clues? Raven, this could actually work in our favor, Valak. Excalibur, yeah, chill out. Raven, listen, Max. We're about to go to the Island of Salvation, the Blue Army capital. We would like you to join us. We are looking for someone. Perhaps along the way you can learn more about what happened to you and get your memory back. What do you say? Max, I don't really have much of a choice right now. Even if I went out on my own, I don't remember much at all, barely even my name. Looks down. Why am I wearing this armor? Valak, it seems as if you were a member of the Holy Army. That help ring any bells? Max, Holy Army? Valak, guess not. Raven, this world has 4 distinct armies that surround the world we live in. Oh, here comes a convenient info dump for the reader. To the north is the Holy Army, to the west is the Blue Army, to the east is the Red Army, and to the south, which we are closest to at the moment, is the Dark Army. Centering the world is the Grey Castle, also known as the Siphon Castle, a neutral standpoint. It appears to us that by your armor you were a member of the Holy Army. Like I said, we are on our way to the Island of Salvation, a place that is close to the Holy Army. Maybe we could get some answers. In the meantime, you should probably get out of that armor, just not to raise any suspicion. Spelled wrong, by the way. I'm not fixing anything. I could technically fix it in Google Docs, but I'm leaving it typoed because it's funnier. Max, okay, I understand more now. I will go with you, and hopefully discover more about who I am. Raven, excellent. Valak, get him some of your clothes. He should fit in them, I would think. Valak, yeah. He walks off. Raven, we'll find something to eat, rest up, and be prepared to head out in the morning. In the morning, Raven, Raven, Valak, Max, and Excalibur make their way out onto the road. They continue to go past numerous areas and finally stop at a crossroad to take a break. Valak, it's a lot quieter out here than I remember it. Raven, things have changed quite a bit since you last left that little village. Although I must admit it's quieter than usual out here. It'll all change once we make it closer to one of the cities, though. The Blue Army cities are by far the most lively. They hold events there regularly, hence why Harley will be there. Max, Harley? Is that the person you're looking for? Raven, yes, her name is Harley. We must find her before a man named Synthro does. Max, Synthro? Raven, as I told Valak when I first met him, that is the name of a man who is beyond all of our power and skills. You must not fight him if you encounter him. It'll only lead to your death. Max, I see. Even though he didn't kill Max, technically. Suddenly, 6 monsters appear from the bushes. Classic monsters just hiding in the bushes. This is so rad. Suddenly, 6 monsters appear from the bushes. Valak, grabbing his sword. What the? They begin to attack violently. Valak quickly makes work of one of the beasts, slicing it right through its skull down to its chest. The blood of the beast that shoots out isn't like normal blood, but rather a purplish color. They are very human in shape, resembling more a demon than anything else. They have horns and sharp teeth as well as long claws on their hands. After Valak slices through the first one, it disintegrates into thin air. Excalibur quickly grabs one by the sides of its head and smashes it into pieces. It also disappears afterwards. Raven pulls out her sword for the first time. Valak catches a glimpse of it. It's an amazing weapon, as most angel-crafted weapons are. The handle is pure white, while the blade itself shines brighter than the sun itself. A lot of itself. The blade itself shines brighter than the sun itself. Raven lifts it up, pointing it downward and holding it by the handle. The light of the blade blinds the 4 remaining beasts as Excalibur punches his fist directly through one, causing it to fade away as well. Valak is quick to kill another, cutting through where the heart should be on a normal human being. Raven brings her sword back into proper position and flies up. She comes crashing down on one of the 2 remaining beasts, just singular, cutting right through it. Max, who was sitting back during the whole fight, is quickly approached by the final beast. It's running insanely fast toward him. Max just stands there, as if frozen in fright. Valak, I hope you didn't forget how to fight. Raven, better help out just in case. Valak, Raven, and Excalibur rush over to Max, but the monster is just too fast and had too much of a head start. It reaches. Raven can fly. I'm pretty sure she should be able to catch him. It reaches Max in record time and leaps up in the air with its claws facing downward toward Max's face. At the very last second, Max sidesteps, avoiding the attack, and removes his sword from its sheath. Turns quickly. The beast swings its claws at his face. He pulls his head back just in time to avoid it. Lifts his sword up with one arm and brings it crashing down on the monster's shoulder. After it's lodged into the shoulder area, turns it slightly, ripping it directly across the beast's chest, opening it up. It also disintegrates like the others. Valak, well, I guess we don't have to worry about him not knowing how to fight. They all laugh, as one does after getting jumped by 6 demons jumping out of the bushes. Have a good chuckle. Max, what were those things? Valak, no clue. Raven, any idea? Raven, no, those weren't like normal demons. Valak, normal demons? Since when are there normal demons? Why are you talking so casually like that? Meanwhile, they all just had a good laugh. Excalibur. Things have changed a lot since you were outside of that village, Valak. Demons are common in everyday affairs. They attack villages and people constantly. Not as bad as it could be, but it's getting worse. Valak. Interesting. I wonder why no demons have ever attacked my village. Excalibur. I can't answer that, but just be aware that the monsters and beings we face from here on out can and will take any shape and form and be of extreme power. These were different in many ways, most notably how weak they were. Raven. X is right. In most cases, the demons we've encountered on our journeys have been extremely powerful. That is why I said these were not like normal demons. These were weak and did not bear a resemblance to most demons. I fear there may be even more trouble brewing that we are unaware of. Luckily for us, the Blue Army is also the main headquarters of the DHA. DHA? The Demon Hunting Alliance. That name actually stays in the full book. Laika's actually part of the DHA. She is in this too, I believe. Mira does not exist in the story, by the way. I made her specifically for the full release. So Mira is nowhere to be found in this, sadly. Raven, it's a group of people whose sole purpose is to hunt demons. Some of the best fighters in the world are members, and they are damn good at their jobs. Maybe we could stop in and meet some of them on our way through. Max, sounds like fun. Raven, we'll have time to have a lot of fun if we make it to the Blue Army in time. We must stay focused on our main mission. Let's get moving before dark. Valak, yeah, who knows if there are any more of these things lurking around. They walk off and continue toward the Island of Salvation. To be continued. End of chapter 4. We're back to chapters. Chapter 5, almost there. All right. So we'll stop there this week. We're on chapter 5. I'll leave myself a note. I'm pretty sure I'll remember, but... that and switching the thing out for Monster, what I gotta do. Alright, we're gonna go... I'm gonna convert my desk so that I could sit down. I feel like I've been standing for too long. This was pretty weird when we did it the other day, live. So, it might still be weird. I apologize. We're going down, chat. We're going down. Should probably make the thing follow me. Ugh. Alrighty. That to stop. Okay, we can do a little choose your own adventure shenanigans. You know what, before we do that, let me see if there's any unreleased fantasy distraction stuff we could play around with. I actually have I have a Max story that I might not release. Supposedly we need to restart our game if we have connection issues on Monster Hunter World. We could try next time. Oh, definitely. Yeah, we got to figure that out because it is kind of frustrating. Yeah, let me just make sure this Max story. We can read this Max one. So this will be more like real Soldier's Crest Max, obviously, so you could see the differences between the storylines. Like he doesn't lose his memories in the real Soldier's Crest. I was supposed to release something today that I just remembered that I forgot to do. I was gonna release the readings we did last week as a video today, and I forgot. I just realized that now. I'm pretty sure I edited them and everything. And I just didn't upload them. Well, I guess they'll come out next week. My bad. Happens to the best of us, true, dude. Let me see if I can find a fantasy distraction story that I'm not releasing, if I have any of those. I have these little promo things that I don't think I'm going to do anymore. I had promo things made for Onyx and Obsidian. So those are like the two armies that are at war with each other. That's kind of like the background story of Fantasy Distractions. And I made these little like promos that I wanted to release, and I never did. So we can read those. So we'll actually read 3. We'll read the Max story, because I don't think I'm gonna release this. At least not in this first batch of stories. Let me just double check my outline. Like, it's possible we might do stories past May 19th, but right now, depending on if I go back to work or whatever's going on, if I have time or not, it's looking like I don't know if I'll release more past that point at the moment. So this is one that's not part of the ones coming out, so we can read this real quick for funsies. I have not read this since I wrote it, so it might not be great. It might not be edited properly. It might have some changes if I ever do release it, but this is it in like its rawest form, I guess you could say. Alright, so this is called Max Alexian, Sanctivel's Hero. The angels that helped rebuild the world after the apocalyptic event known as the Stragus left Earth with one final gift, a castle called Immaculate, and the kingdom of Sanctivel. To be the king of Sanctivel was a great honor, but many believed being a knight in the Sanctivel army was of similar stature. One might say that with that knowledge, that being the general of said army would be one of the highest honors bestowed to anyone living on the main continent, Chroma. Being the first new kingdom erected in the aftermath of the Stragus, Sanctivel had seen many kings, many queens, and once an army seemed necessary, many generals. Despite the prestigious position and the caliber of people chosen for such a role, none of them could compare to Sanctivel's current general, Max Alexian. Max grew up in Sanctivel, the son of 2 farmers. He had zero interest in joining the Sanctivel army. However, as Max grew up and made some friends in the town, those friends wanted to achieve the great honor of being a knight in the Sanctivel army. Being the good friend and man that he was, Max would often help his friends train and practice for the trials they would face in order to get into the army. It was during these times that Max's friends began to notice his potential. Max had every intention of just growing up a farm boy and taking over the farm after his parents, but his friends pushed him to try out with them. At first, Max didn't think he was outperforming his friends, but once he realized he was doing better than them, he began to hold back. This was their dream, not his, he thought. His friends passed the test, and so did he, but he decided it best to not take the honor of joining the army. He thanked those judging the trials and bowed out, returning to his farm with his parents. The very next day, there was a knock at the door of the small farmhouse Max and his family lived in. Max went to answer it for his mother and was shocked to see the king of Sanctivale, King Pius Allegra. He was escorted by Sanctivale knights, including those in charge of judging the trials. The king questioned why Max held back. Apparently, Max's intentions were made too obvious to the keen eyes of the Sanctivale knights. Max explained the situation to the king, that his friends dreamed of becoming knights and that it wasn't his goal in life. Yet the knights who judged the trial had other ideas, as did the king. Max's potential was too good to be wasted just being a simple farmhand. The king then suggested Max exit the house with him, and he did so. That is when he saw his friends standing outside as well. They explained to the knights that they had been training with Max daily, and his skills were far greater than what he displayed at the trial. The king suggested a re-evaluation of Max's talents, and the rest, as they say, is history. Max climbed the ranks of the Sanctivale army in no time, far surpassing his friends, his own, and even the king's expectations. Soon he was given that prestigious title of general that everyone sought after. He would go on to be the greatest general Sanctivale had ever seen, maybe even the greatest general Earth has ever seen, and his contributions to the future of this new Earth would be monumental. Alright. Considering I haven't read that since I wrote it, I thought it was not too bad. I don't remember a lot of it. Like, I want to rewrite the first book so bad, and I got to remember to revisit these because I fleshed characters out a lot more here, like especially their backstories, than I did in the actual book. Because it was so much information to fit in the book that, like, parts like this would have been nice to include, and I probably should have included them. But it's like important to establish like that's his character, you know, like he's that guy that like he's just looking out for his friends and helping his friends, and meanwhile he's like stronger and better than them, but he's willing to like not pursue that dream because it's not his dream and let his friends get it and stuff, you know. So like that's the type of character that he is. I don't remember if these are serious or goofy. Actually longer than I thought they were. All right, this one, I don't know if this will ever see the light of day. I mean, outside of me reading it on a live stream in front of however many people we have in here. 12 people. This one is join the Onyx army. So that is Lord Kazai's army. The Onyx Obsidian War approaches, and you currently stand as a neutral party. Will you choose Lord Kazai's Onyx army or King Ingvar's Obsidian army? In the east is Onyx, led by Lord Kazai, a righteous, honorable ruler. Lord Kazai intends to make Fenrir a better place by fortifying the beliefs of Fenins set in place during the time when the gods and goddesses roamed Fenrir. Everyone worshipped one of the four, be it the wolf, the witch, the elf, or the mermaid. Each one provided different values and rules for which to live out your life on Fenrir. Values and rules that Fenins feel are in jeopardy now that the gods and goddesses have gone missing. Lord Kazai looks to keep those values alive, while allowing Fenins to worship whatever they choose. While they continue to live their lives as they always have, Lord Kazai intends to better the future of Fenrir, not only improving agriculture and providing new ways to make a living, but also protecting Fenrir from any threats it faces in the future. Lord Kazai fears that King Ingvar and Obsidian may not be the last major challenge Fenins face, and he wants to be sure they are ready for anything. A war campaign of this nature needs the proper counsel. No mind in Onyx could be more prepared for war than Seldric. The elder Fenin who trains Onyx's soldiers has been in many wars throughout the years. Experience, I'll leave that as experience. Experience that even he can't teach their soldiers. This makes Seldric a formidable foe, both on the battlefield and in a tactician tent. A lot of the new recruits in Onyx have never held a katana before, let alone been in a fight, so Seldric is a pivotal piece in Lord Kazai's army. Despite Seldric's age, he is not the eldest in the Onyx army's ranks. Seldric forfeited that title ever since Lord Kazai recruited Razmig, the orc. Orcs tend to live much longer than Orcs tend to live much longer lives than Fenins, so Razmig is much older than Seldric. Along with that history comes unique experiences and exceptional battle prowess. Add on that Razmig uses a powerful spear named a Myriad, a spear so large that only the massive orc can wield it, and you have one of the strongest fighters in the war. Maria Wolf 123, hello. How are you today? Tonight? Whatever time it is where you are. One can also now leave out Sade, Lord Kazai's most trusted and loyal knight. Sade was recruited before Kazai held the title of Lord, but she has served him as if he always held the title. Her elegant fighting style is a trait that stands out among new recruits and enemies alike, and her precise strikes are just as deadly as they are beautiful. Though she may not have the experience of Razmig or Seldric, she makes up for it in fighting spirit. Sade has been underestimated her whole life, one of the biggest mistakes often made by her opponents. Good, just a bit troubling on writing an episode script, to be honest. What are you having trouble with? What's holding you up? I find when I have like writer's block or anything like that, I don't get writer's block often. I lose the motivation to write sometimes, and it's not necessarily like a lack of ideas, I guess you would say. But whenever that happens, I go back to like things that put me in the mood to write. So like for me, I was obsessed with the Spartacus show that Stephen DeKnight released on Stars like a couple of years ago. And whenever I watch that show, it puts me in the mood to write. Like it motivates me. Like it motivates me to work out, motivates me to write, to better myself. Just because everybody on there looks so good. And I just like the story and the twists and turns and stuff. So like whenever I'm in like a rut, I usually go back and rewatch some of Spartacus. Same can be said with like certain video games. Certain video games get me in the mood to write. It's a dating episode, and I'm having trouble on going from this point to another point in the story. My brain just spazzes out. Ooh, yeah, that's dating and romance and stuff, probably my weakest area of expertise when it comes to writing. So I'm not entirely sure how I can help you. Probably the same premise. Another strategy I use is taking it like one sentence at a time. Like there was a point in time where I was struggling to get the motivation to finish my first self-published book. And I had read this thing that it was like, commit to sitting down and writing a sentence a day, because you'll almost never sit down and write just one sentence. So like you'll go down, like you'll sit down to write a sentence and you'll like write a paragraph. And in your situation, I'd probably just write it if I can and try to figure out how to tie it into the rest of the story after the fact. Like I'd write it down and be happy with what I wrote before I tie it into other things, if possible. Everybody's approach is different though, so I mean I'm just trying to give you some help, but do whatever's best for you. But that's how I usually approach those situations when I'm in them. It helped me finish my first book when I was writing it. But yeah, if I had to like sit down and write a romance right now, or like a romance fantasy distraction or something, it would probably take me forever. That's not in my wheelhouse at all, sadly. Yeah, no problem, Maria. So as Onyx readies itself to fight King Ingvar's horde of barbarians, where do you stand? Beside the brute who claims himself a god, or the honorable Lord Kazai? I actually quite like this. Maybe when we're ready to fully dive back into the wartime stuff, maybe we can release these and revisit these, because I'm actually pretty happy with that. Let's see the Obsidian one. The Obsidian one's a lot harder because in Onyx we have Lord Kazai, and then he's got what we call Lord Kazai's Chosen, which is like Seldric, Razmig, and Sade. Ingvar just kind of has Dita, and that's pretty much it. Like his entire army is just like barbarians and mercenaries and stuff. So I'm curious to see how because I imagine these are meant to be mirrored, and I'm curious to see how I pulled that off. So let's check out the Obsidian one and see what I did here. It is about the same length. All right. I do this a lot. So you notice here it's the Onyx Obsidian War. Both are correct. Both are correct. There isn't a right or wrong way to say the war time. Like there isn't one that goes before the other. But whenever I write Onyx related stuff, I always put Onyx first, and Obsidian I flip it. Yeah, so Ingvar's got kind of like an ironic thing going on because he considers himself like the new god, right? So the gods and goddesses are missing, and he is like basically denouncing the old gods. And his plan is to get rid of like people worshiping the gods completely, right? But the ironic part is his own army and his followers and stuff they call him the God King. So they consider him like the new god. But he's also like denouncing all the old gods. So in a weird way, he's like trying to get rid of the gods and goddesses, but he's also becoming the new god. So it's kind of a bit of irony there, and it's a little weird, but maybe I explained that in here a bit. But like he himself does kind of have like a god complex. The Obsidian Onyx War approaches, and you currently stand as a neutral party. Will you choose King Ingvar's Obsidian army or Lord Kazai's Onyx army? I wonder if did I flip that? I did. So whichever one is the focus is first. So Lord Kazai was first here, and Ingvar is first here. Okay. In the west is Obsidian, led by King Ingvar. Many consider King Ingvar a reckless brute and a tyrant, but there is more to the king than meets the eye. Sure, he is one of the largest Fenins to ever walk Fenrir, and he is not to be trifled with, but his intentions for the future of Fenrir are pure. These acts Fenins consider tyrannical, pretty sure that's how you pronounce that, tyrannical, most in Obsidian would consider necessary. If hurt feelings and bloodshed stand between the present and a brighter future for Fenrir, then King Ingvar is going to do whatever it takes to make sure the sun shines when the dust settles. What is that emote, Spurn? Oh, a lurk emote. Okay. I appreciate you lurking, man. Have a good night. Get some rest. One of the most noticeable things about King Ingvar's campaign so far has been the nickname given to him by the Obsidian army. They call him the God King, due to the fact that one of his first acts as King of Obsidian was denouncing the wolf god Enror in the town of Genin. Not only did they knock over some wolf statues, the new king also declared that Enror should no longer be worshipped, and instead they should worship Ingvar instead. Enror was gone, but King Ingvar was still here in the flesh. Thus, the God King's campaign revolves around a changing of the guard, so to speak. The gods and goddesses are gone now. There is no reason to cling to past failures. If Fenrir is going to grow, it needs to move on and move forward. There is no one better to help Fenrir achieve this than someone as brutally honest as King Ingvar. Not everyone agrees with the king's methods, but who is going to stop him? Did I not mention the katanas at all in either one of these? Yeah, so I don't think I'm skimming, and I don't see. So Lord Kazai has a katana called Rednefed, which is just Defender spelled backwards. And it's a magical katana that it has the power to block any attack. King Ingvar has a katana similar with magical properties that can cut through anything, but it can't cut through Lord Kazai's katana. So because it can block anything. So that's why whenever they fight, they go to a stalemate. Because Ingvar's sword could cut through anything except Lord Kazai's blade, and they're both really skilled fighters, so when they fight, they can't kill each other. They've only fought once in our current timeline, but they fought to a stalemate on a magical mountain that also factored in, and nobody really truly knows what happened up there. But I'm very surprised I kept the katanas out of these stories for some reason, because I mentioned them in almost like every story about them. Unlike Lord Kazai, King Ingvar does not have as strong of a council backing him up. Majority of the Fennins recruited to his army were savages and just as barbaric as he is. All but one, a Fennin woman named Dita. Dita was just a simple tailor before she met King Ingvar, but the king quickly took a liking to her, and Dita helped him realize that there was a lot more to this war than just battle. Once laying eyes upon the king, she had no doubt that he wasn't going to lose many fights. But would he be able to make the right tactical decisions to outsmart Lord Kazai? Unlikely. At least unlikely without her help. Dita was not a fighter, nor was she familiar with war, but she was intelligent. On top of that, she became Obsidian Army's recruiter, so where she lacked in knowledge, she could make up for it by placing the right Fennins in the right places. More importantly than all of that, if Obsidian wins the war, she would play a pivotal role in helping King Ingvar live up to his word to make Fenrir a better place. King Ingvar fought his whole life to get to where he is now, but he lacked compassion and a better understanding of the everyday life of your average Fennin, something that Dita knew a lot about since that was the life she knew before joining Obsidian. My voice is doing the thing where it like squeaks. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but it drives me nuts. So as Obsidian readies itself to fight Lord Kazai and his chosen, where do you stand? Beside the honorable Fennin in the east, or the god made flesh right here in Obsidian? I actually like these a lot. I need to use these at some point. I think we'll squeeze them in before we return to like the like actual war stuff when we're ready to go back to the like nitty-gritty of that. I think we'll use these as like teasers for those. When that'll be, I have no idea, but we have some stories coming out that are going to be set in wartime. But yeah. Not bad. I do not remember writing these to this extent. I remember writing teasers, but the teasers we released for fantasy shorts were very similar, a very similar concept to that. Let me see if I can find that real quick. The very last fantasy short is called The Onyx Obsidian War. This is like a recap almost. Yeah, this is like a similar concept. Do I mention the katanas in here? Yeah. This is released already. I mean, technically you could listen to this on the YouTube channel, but I'll read this just for completion. This is also just like a teaser. This is more of a teaser prior to me actually like writing and releasing stuff for the war, while these other two that I wrote was like after I had written quite a few chapters for the war. But I don't think it should be much different. They're just kind of just teasers. They're not really like mentioning anything that's coming. It's more like recaps of things that have already happened. We'll read this, and then I'm going to take a little break. And then I think we're going to work on the choose your own adventure stuff. Just for a little bit. I don't know how long we'll go. These writing streams, even though I'm not actually writing for most of them, I do a lot more talking than my normal streams. So I can feel it. Like I can feel the difference. All right. So this says, let me I could do this. This is released already, so doesn't really matter. Onyx. It is known on Fenrir that the honorable defend the weak. The saying began to spread across Fenrir when Lord Kazai became the ruler of Onyx. You're excited for the Choose Your Own Adventure? Yeah, so I was thinking we could also, we can add a lot of choice in us writing it too. So, I showed you the 4 characters that we were going to write about. Maybe I'll just have you guys choose who we focus on for each stream, and I'll just write that story. And that's how we'll do it. It should be a little more interesting. Yeah, it's technically more just chatting for sure. Like I am just reading and talking. But when we do the Choose Your Own Adventure, we'll be doing some writing at least. Alright. It is known on Fenrir that the honorable defend the weak. The saying began to spread across Fenrir when Lord Kazai became the ruler of Onyx. Wielder of Rednefed, a katana said to be able to block any attack. Lord Kazai has changed Onyx for the better. He has enforced some of Fenrir's stricter laws and regulations, but by doing so, he has made all of the Onyx territories much safer. Lord Kazai's values and just the way he views the world in general make him a strong candidate for taking Fenrir into the future. If anyone can return Fenrir to the peaceful times when the gods and goddesses walked among us, it's him. Obsidian. There is ruling with an iron fist, there is general tyranny, and then there's King Ingvar. Obsidian knights everywhere praise him as the God King, the new god of war and battle. King Ingvar was widely known throughout Fenrir as the largest, strongest, most cruel, and by far the most dangerous Fenin when it came to physical combat. The Obsidian Knights believed that whatever weaknesses King Ingvar had vanished the moment he was born. To usher in a new era on Fenrir, King Ingvar believes Fenins need to discard the past. The gods and goddesses of old taught the Fenins how to live, how to behave, and how to survive. But to King Ingvar, these beliefs and ideals are limiting. The only way to grow is to break free from the past and strive for a future of freedom. The Onyx Obsidian War. Fenrir now stands on the brink of war. The planet is at the mercy of the most legendary rivalry ever witnessed. The battle on top of Mount Shire between Kazai and Ingvar before they were rulers changed the landscape of Fenrir forever. The Onyx Obsidian War will do the same. No matter the outcome, the Fenrir we know now won't be the same. I doubled down on Sam there and probably should not have done that. I wonder if I changed that. I'm pretty sure I read this, so I might have changed that in the actual release. I'll have to re-listen to it. It is difficult to choose a side, and for many, they won't have a choice at all. As Onyx and Obsidian go all across Fenrir looking for new recruits, you have to wonder if you're fighting for the right side. Lord Kazai is honorable, it's true, and his intentions are pure. But you have to consider the fact that he's still fighting in a war that exists because of a personal rivalry. He wants to stop King Ingvar from ruining Fenrir, but the war necessary to do so might leave the world in ashes regardless. As for the God King, King Ingvar, he's quite the wild card. We don't know for certain how he's going to approach this war. Will he brute force his way through every battle? Will he stop at nothing until Lord Kazai is dead? How many innocent Fenins and towns will perish in his wake? The only thing we know for certain at this point is that war is coming. It is inevitable. When the time comes to free Fenrir or save it, whose side will you be on? We should do more teasers. I actually like these teasers. I'll just do teasers for every release that we do. I'll just teaser everything. I won't actually release anything, we'll just do teasers. Okay, give me 1 second. Alright, so let me take a little break. I kind of want to get something to eat and rest my voice for a second, and then we'll do the Choose Your Own Adventure. Let me leave that on the screen actually. see if I can fit this. Okay. If you guys can see the choice on the bottom with the characters, should I make a poll maybe? We don't have like a ton of viewers, so I don't know if we need a poll. But while I'm AFK, put in chat which character we should do and work on. This is the like beginning, like the intro basically. And then these are going to be the characters that you could select. I don't know how easy it is for you guys to read. I'll highlight it, so maybe it makes it a little easier. Pick one, put it in the chat. Whichever one you guys seem the most interested in, we'll work on that one when I get back. But I'm just going to take a couple of minutes, maybe like 10, 15 minutes. Stretch my legs, even though we were just standing for like 2 hours, and get a quick something to eat, and then we'll work on this bad boy. All right, I'm back. Looks like Kitty's the only one who voted, so I guess we're gobbing it up. Thank you, Mount Steward. All right, Goblin, the Goblin. I had so many ideas for this Goblin. Well, do I remember any of them? Did I write them down? Probably not. All right, let's see. Well, first, I know we kind of read over the stuff I had for Lydia. Okay, so it's just choice 1.l. Okay. So this would be choice 1.e. I did look into those somebody came into chat and suggested Twine and Inkle, I believe they were called. Those did seem like better ways to execute this. For now I'm going to do it this way. But I may like convert it over to those. Just cuz they're like literally designed to like play games with choices. So it might be easier for us to like structure that when we're ready for it. But for now, while we're just fooling around, we'll just do it this way. Okay, so if you control F, choice 1.e brings us down here. They didn't seem too hard to figure out. But I know he also suggested that I play some of their games. Yo, what's up, Akatsu? My homie. You're drunk? Oh no, dude. Were you having a bad day, or you're just vibing? I worry about you. He suggested that I like play some of the games that are already on there first, and I didn't get a chance to do that. I can play League better. No. Is this your choose? Is this a choose your own adventure book? We're gonna write one. Yeah, it's very early. Very early stages. Like I wrote this opening paragraph, the character names, and the very first choice, which is this character Lydia, like early 2022, and then I never revisited it. But I thought it might be funny to it might be fun to do on stream. So I opened it up to voting and only Kitty voted and we landed on the Goblin. So we're gonna write some stuff for the Goblin. But basically, I gotta reread this stuff and fit it in. So like these three, since it's our first time like doing this and dabbling with this sort of thing, it's very like Dungeons and Dragons how they meet, you know, like they meet in a bar. Well, I mean, we're introduced to them in a bar. It's not necessarily these characters interacting with each other. So we meet them in a bar, basically. My plan with the Goblin Merchant though was he's outside. He's like just outside the bar because he's a merchant and he's just selling like goods when we're introduced to this character. So if we were to pick the pirate, the mage, or the rogue, we'd probably be introduced to them inside the bar. But because we're doing the goblin, it'll be outside. But I want to reread the Lydia stuff and the opening paragraph just so I get a general idea of what I was doing for that one, and then we'll pick up with the goblin. So this is just called Introduction to Fenrir, Journey Together #1. That's just kind of like the title I'm using for it. A lot of this stuff is very placeholdery because it's very early on. Then go along the line. Also, how you doing tonight, Jace? I'm sorry, I should have said hi first, but when we were doing the RPG Maker game that I never actually programmed or did anything with, think of it like that. Like we're kind of working on it together. We're just kind of fleshing things out. You guys could suggest stuff to me. I'll put it in. I might put it in. I might not put it in. It might be stuff we could use later. It's meant to just be like a community thing, and then hopefully when it's done, we can play it together. I could send it to other streamers to play. It'll be a good time. All right, the ever-changing planet of Fenrir is full of mysteries. A lot of those mysteries began not that long ago in the fishing town known as Vorpal. Said to be blessed by Morska, the mermaid goddess herself, Vorpal has thrived throughout the years on Fenrir and has been host to the beginning of many adventures. A hub of sorts for Fenins, Fenrir's humans, and all other races, ethnicities, and creatures. The main attraction of Vorpal these days is a spot that acts as both an inn and a pub, a building known as the Sea Tides. That's where our journey through Fenrir together begins. Obviously, I think these stories will be set prior to wartime. Maybe if we do well with this and we want to do another choose your own adventure, maybe we'll do one that's set in wartime. But this probably be prior to the war beginning. So if we do refer to like Kazai and Ingvar, they're probably not fully at war yet. They're probably still like recruiting or like, getting ready to go to war, but not actually in the war. So the only one I wrote stuff for was Lydia, and I literally only wrote it up to the first choice. But I do want to... I would like to, in the opening for the male goblin, like reference one of them, like maybe walking out of the bar. And that'll kind of give us an idea of like timing wise. So like, let's say it's Roselle that walks out of the bar, right? So like when we finally work on Roselle's storyline for this, at some point she's gonna have to walk out of the bar in the same way that we see her in Ennin's story, if that makes sense. I just want to do like little overlapping things like that because I think it makes it more interesting. Which is going to be hard to do if we're writing them all either simultaneously or at different times. Like we're gonna have struggles either way. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe it'll work out. But I don't think it's necessary to go in order either. Okay, so the Lydia stuff that I wrote was Lydia wasn't from the main continent on Fenrir, but instead came from the land's west. She's a pirate, so most of the pirates either come from Sabia or travel to Sabia a lot, like Charlemagne and those guys. A desert continent called Sabia. She landed on Fenrir just a few days prior after being thrown overboard by her own crew. The squabble that led to their betrayal fresh in Lydia's mind. She knew for sure they didn't believe her to still be alive. That's something she could eventually use to her advantage if opportunity presented itself. Unfortunately for her, she had no means in which to get a ship, and the few coins that clung to her pockets were just enough to get her the ale sitting on the table in front of her. She grabbed the handle of the stein in front of her and took a swig. She had been to the main continent a few times with her crew, but she usually sent them on land to handle whatever business they needed. Perhaps it was not her not wanting to get involved that started her crew down the path of mutiny. She took another drink as she surveyed the patrons in the Sea Tides that day, mostly Fenins with a few orcs and the rare goblin. See, I put Rare Goblin here, but this won't actually be Enon because I think I want him to start outside. Nothing out of the ordinary and nothing that impressive. As her eyes locked with the woman behind the bar serving drinks, a voice brought her attention forward again. First time in Vorpal? Asked the man. Lydia had to look pretty far up to look at the man's face. He had a grizzly brown beard with strands of gray, and similar hair underneath a black hood that attached to a cloak making its way down, almost touching the floor. Not necessarily, replied Lydia. I've been around the docks once or twice. Lydia's eyes followed the man's hand as it emerged from the inner workings of the cloak and found its way to the chair across from hers. Do you mind? He asked. A firm grip on the top of the chair. And then this would be our first choice, where either Lydia minds or Lydia doesn't mind. Yeah, and like my thought process for this was like if Lydia doesn't want him to sit, then either like a bar brawl breaks out or something happens, like something drastic. If she doesn't mind and he sits down and they talk, like he might actually just be like a main character in her story for like the entire duration. So like I think little choices like that having big impact are interesting. But I never got past this part. So that's it for Lydia. So now we're going to our male goblin merchant Enon. So let's start to describe what you would see from our little goblin friend. I started off directly with description of Lydia. But I think doubling down on the description of the sea tides and Vorpal and stuff, especially if we're starting from the outside, could be interesting. Put no space on Lydia's. I'm gonna just like write what's because it's easier for me to like just write it and then we'll read it back and then we'll edit it. That's easier for me because if I say it out loud as I'm typing it, it's harder for me for some reason. We'll do that sometimes, but for the most part, I'll probably just like write a good chunk. We'll talk about it. We'll break it down. Hopefully, as we continue to do this, people will suggest things and we can fit those in. Plus, my my throat is hurting from talking so much. So take it easy. I feel like all this stuff right here that I just wrote is stuff that I described in the first part, though. So maybe we talk about, instead of like straight up doubling down, I think we do like I kind of want it to be like a market kind of scenario just outside the sea tides that we find the little goblin guy in. So it's while the sea tides was where most adventurers found their spark on Fenrir, outside the pub was just as busy and bustling with life from all walks of the continent. On this particular day, Vorpal was as lively as ever, and a market set up just outside the sea tides. Something. Want to word. I'm having trouble starting this. That's not a good sign. We'll be fine though. And once I get going, it'll just kind of snowball out of control. I just want to like really set the stage of like what's happening outside the bar. Okay. While the sea tides was where most adventurers found their spark on Fenrir, outside the pub was just as busy and bustling with life from all walks of the continent. On this particular day, Vorpal was just as lively as ever, and a market set up just outside the sea tides was just as packed as the pub. Numerous merchants lined the streets selling all manner of goods, from right here on Fenrir to Sabia and even as far as the northern continent of Isla. I think I need to clarify because we don't get the explanation of Sabia from the initial paragraph. We get it from Lydia from what I read prior. So I think we need to explain what Sabia is so it makes more sense if you're going that route and have no prior knowledge of fantasy distractions. Okay. So we have now. While the sea tides was where most adventurers found their spark. Why am I having so much trouble with that? I want to leave it as adventurers, not adventurers. Although I guess adventurers would make more sense. Let's try with adventurers. While the sea tides was where most adventurers found their spark on Fenrir, outside the pub was just as busy and bustling with life from all walks of the continent. On this particular day, Vorpal was just as lively as ever, and a market set up just outside the sea tides was just as packed as the pub. Numerous merchants lined the streets selling all manner of goods, from right here on Fenrir to the eastern, I spelled that wrong, to the eastern continent of Sabia, and even as far as the northern continent of Isla. An aspiring orc adventurer and their companion made their way out of the sea tides, but just beyond where they exited, a small tiny goblin was setting up shop. Enin was the complete opposite of the adventuring type, hence why he spent his days just outside the pub, selling goods he procured from the towns located in Obsidian. Ooh. If this makes sense. So, all right. While Fennins from Obsidian were also within Vorpal's walls this day, it was rather rare to see goods from Obsidian this far south. Vorpal's location was just south of the soon-to-be warring areas of Onyx and Obsidian, laying somewhere in the middle of both. But it was much harder to trade goods in Obsidian than it was in Onyx. And that makes it sound like Vorpal is in the middle of Onyx and Obsidian, but it's like the middle of both, but south. So like it's not within those territories, it's just south of those territories. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Orpal's location was just south of the soon-to-be warring areas of Onyx and Obsidian, lying somewhere in the middle of both, but it was much harder to trade goods in Obsidian than it was in Onyx. Might have to reword that a little bit, just so people don't think it's in the middle of Onyx and Obsidian. Like it's the middle of them, but it's not within those territories. It's south of those territories. If that makes sense. I don't know. Okay. Garb. I should probably put like music or something on while I do this. Maybe like epidemic sounds, like some fantasy stuff. We can do that next time, maybe. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna go because my throat is bothering me from all the talking. It's only when I do this stream. Like, I feel like when I'm gaming and stuff, I still talk a lot, but it's like, I guess because I'm just specifically like nonstop talking and reading stuff, it bothers my throat. High quality fabrics that like look so weird. I don't want to just say clothes. Have you ever tried honey stick when talking about? What's honey stick? I don't think I even know what that is. I mean, it sounds pretty self-explanatory. Is that like something I can buy? Could do high-end fabrics. It's not so much the high quality part that's hanging me up, it's the fabrics part. Amazon. Okay, let me see this. I don't want to just open up random Amazon stuff on my stream, that's why I switched scenes real quick. Honey stick. I've never seen this before in my entire life. Why are they so? They have a cinnamon honey sticks, 2,000 sticks for $360. It's wild. Interesting. I'm gonna leave myself in. I've never seen this before. Somehow. Leave myself a note. I'm gonna look into this. It's honey in a stick form. That's legendary. I'm gonna have to. Doesn't take much to impress me, apparently. Oh well, ta-da! Yeah, I'm gonna have to get that. We'll just use them on Tuesdays. I don't think I need 100. I don't think I need 100. Do they come in like a smaller pack? Can I get a pack of like 10? Because I'm only gonna be using them like once a week. Yes, but that was the first thing. Okay, I'll definitely look into that. See if I can get some for next week, maybe. Because like last week, my throat felt the way that it feels right now, and then like the next day I was fine, and like I streamed the next day, and I was totally fine, and it didn't bother me during that stream. So it's just like in the moment of us doing the stream, I could feel it like kind of getting scratchy. So yeah, if I could get something like that, maybe we could just pop one. Like when I go to take my break, I just pop one of those. And we're good. All right, in front of Ennin's booth stood a Fenin dressed in high-quality fabrics. That's a work in progress. You could tell the two of them have been locked in a bargaining disagreement for a long time. I knew it. We make you sick, Kappa. No, never. You guys are giving me life right now. Designer clothes? See, you're right, but like, I'm not sure if that like terminology would be used like in the setting. Like, I mean, because it's still like a fantasy setting. I don't know if they would have like designer like that kind of like fashion designers. I guess. I mean, I guess they could. This is gonna be the book that revives the genre. I hope so. Dude, I love choose your own adventure books. I don't know if I have any of mine anywhere. I think they're in a tote from our move. I don't know if we kept mine. Maybe we got rid of mine actually. Yeah, I guess there could still be designers. In front of Ennin's booth stood a Fenin dressed in high-quality fabrics. You could tell the two of them had been locked in a bargaining disagreement for a long time. Ennin was trying to sell a necklace from Genin that the goblin received prior to King Ingvar's arrival and denouncement of the wolf god Enror. This necklace was said to be worn by the monks in the Genin monasteries that worshipped Enror. Oh, goblin designers. What if it's high quality? Maybe we leave high quality fabrics, but we add on crafted by the fat. I kind of want to commit to fashion designers now if we're gonna go designers. Starin is like we've used Starin before. It's like it's one of the towns that worship the elf god, and he was very like fashionable as well, I guess you would say. He was all about himself, so he always needed to look nice and smell nice and be beautiful. So if they're from Starin and they worship the elf god, then they would be fashion designers being from there makes sense. I think back in the day, most stuff was like custom tailored for nobles. Dude, the old choose your own adventure books, we used to have them in the library at the school that I went to in elementary school. I used to like rent those out and read them all the time. And then I started buying them myself because I was like so into them. And I used to in my old room I had like this big dresser with these they were like plastic doors, but like you would push them in and they would like pop and then pop out. And I had an entire shelf that was just choose your own adventure books. And I would just like grab one out and read it. Oh my god. They were so good. don't know why I keep spelling monasteries wrong. I don't know why I made him talk this way. All right, Motsword, have a great day, man. Thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate you. And thank you for sharing it, too. I appreciate it. Does nothing beat the smell of cracking open a fresh Choose Your Own Adventure book? I mean, those were the days. There's something else people always say that about. Could be said for a couple of things. But Choose Your Own Adventure books are definitely up there. The Fenna man finally asked to look at the necklace more closely and then handed it to him. From the monasteries in Genin, you say? Yes. That's how I picture this guy talking. It does look legitimate, but is there any proof? I want my goblin guy to have a goatee. Okay, so he's stroking it. I'm picturing like a little like triangular pointed, you know, like devilish goatee. We'll put pointed goatees so people know. I want him to have a little like little pointed goatee. From the monasteries in Genin, you say? Yes. It does look legitimate. It does look legitimate. But is there any proof? And then stroked his pointed goatee. This is very important to me. And a monocle. We gotta have a monocle on him too. Well, I can't go. Now I'm reading everything in that guy's voice. Well, I can't go rebuild the monasteries. You're gonna have to take my word for it. I can't do a goblin voice. Goblin voices in my head are the way Janine did it in the Eliana story, and I can't unhear that. So we're gonna have to work on a goblin voice when we're writing for this character. I've never actually said what the currency is called on Fenrir. So I think I'm going to just use coins for now. I don't think I've ever actually mentioned what the currency is called. So I will continue to keep it vague. Okay. Enin stroked his pointed goatee. Well, I can't go rebuild the monasteries. You're going to have to take my word for it. I suppose that would be impossible. How much are you selling this for again? The man finally looked up from the necklace as he asked. Okay, so here comes choice number 2. I guess choice number 1 is just picking the character. And then I went choice number 2 here. So choice number 2. All right, so I want to make it where like we either overcharge him or like overprice it, something like astronomical. Or we lowball it. This is also going to be the tricky part because, so how would I structure this? This is choice 1.e, so I guess it would be choice 2.e, but then it needs to be, this is where it gets tricky. Choice 2.e, but it needs to be like choice 1 and 2. This is where maybe one of those apps might be better, just to make it less confusing for me and for the player. Oh, well, I did it here. Choice 1.l.1. This should actually be choice 2. .l.2. I used dots. Why did I use dots? It needed to be consistent throughout. Choice 2.e.1. Okay, so I think I would need it on a different page, right? Oh my god. Don't do that. Right, so now this is choice 2.e.1. So this is where we overcharge them. Yeah, I think maybe one of the apps might just be easier for structuring. Just so I don't confuse myself. So I'm gonna look into those apps before next Tuesday, and then maybe we can like, because we're still very early on, so it's very easy for me to move it over. So I think we'll do that. I'm probably only gonna stream for like another 18 minutes or so. So we won't be very far by then, and I think it'll be pretty easy for me to move it over. So I'll look into those. I'll pick one. One of them looked better than the other. I kind of just watched like some YouTube videos on them, and one of them definitely looked more interesting and a little easier to follow than the other. So I'll look into them. I'll check out some of their like already built-in games and stuff, and we'll take it from there. Oh, question mark, exclamation mark. We're bringing it back. I'm not sure which was which. I want to say Twine, because it was either Twine or Inkle, I think it was. I think it was Twine that was the better one. Well, I'll look them up again. I still have the video. I saved the videos on YouTube so I can check them out. Is ludicrous spelt? Please correct me. Autocorrect. Is that right? That doesn't look right. And then took the necklace back from the fetid man. How does 30 coins sound? Wait, why is my goblin voice just like every New Yorker selling stuff in the city? How does 30 coins sound? 30 coins? Are you mad? The man scoffed. That is ludicrous. Not the rapper. Yeah, maybe he should just be a New Yorker. And then took the necklace back from the fetid man. How does 30 coins sound? That's gonna be his voice for me now. I don't know why he's like an old guy selling hats on the corner in Manhattan. 30 coins? Are you mad? The man scoffed. That is ludicrous. And then covered the necklace with another one of his products. Good luck finding something like this at any of the other stalls. This is one of a kind, hard to find, and in mint condition. That's just his voice to me now. Furious, the fetid man walked over to another stall and then shrugged as he removed the product he covered the necklace with to reveal multiple copies of the same necklace. The one of a kind, hard to find, and mint condition necklace. He just has a bunch of them. And he just goes, his loss, next. The whole Anon storyline is just gonna be ridiculous like this. I also got to figure out like how we want to do it because like I guess what we'll do is we'll go until the next choice. Right? So we're doing choice 2.e.1. We'll go to the next time there's a choice option. And then before we do those choices, I guess we go back and do the low ball choice. But then it's going to get crazy because the more choices we go through, the more doubling back we're going to have to do. That might get confusing. Maybe we should just commit to a choice. But how long do we commit to that choice? Because at some point we have to go back and write the other choices. Like, do I now follow this choice until we finish the story? And then go all the way back and finish the other choice all the way through? That's where it could get a little tricky, I guess, from a writing standpoint. That is 30 coins sound. That's my New Yorker accent too, which is pretty terrible for someone who has lived in New York his entire life. I'm gonna want to do the most silly choices. I feel like the goblin one should just be all silly choices, though. Like this should just be like the comedic route. you know? Like all the other storylines should have like an actual like fantasy distractions level story with like an epic twisty climax. And his should just be like the main point of his choices and storylines should be something like really dumb. Like like his main goal should be like, I don't know, like getting the ultimate like item to sell or something, you know? Or like becoming the greatest merchant in all of Fenrir, you know? Like he should have some kind of like cheesy, weird, funny end game for his storylines. I mean, since it's choose your own adventure, I guess we could have multiple things that he ends up striving for, I guess. We also got to do like some like bad endings and some good endings, and there's a lot at play here. So it's definitely interesting. Okay. The next person to approach Enin Stan was a tall Fenin covered by a beige cloak. His garb was much different than the last. He was wearing many gold belts around tight white pants that were unfamiliar to the goblin merchant. However, the cloak did have symbols on it that Enin did recognize. The symbols worn by the royal guards of the eastern continent of Sabia. Tiny goblin. Tiny goblin. Tiny goblin. I look for swords akin to those found in Sabia, like so. The man pushed his cloak aside to reveal a blade connected to his many golden belts. The curvature of the swords of our kingdom are familiar to me and necessary for my adventures here on Fenrir. What is... What am I thinking of? What is the, like... It's almost like a little telescope. Is that a real thing? I feel like I've seen that. It's like a little telescope kind of thing that they use to like look at items. What it, I don't know if I want him to just straight up have a monocle. I'm just gonna put a tiny telescope, but I gotta go look that up. Yeah, yeah, like the ones that they use to look at gems. What are those called? It's definitely not a tiny telescope. It's gotta have like a real name. A jeweler's loop. Interesting. Okay. I guess I could have just Googled or wikied it myself. Small magnification device used to see small details more closely. They generally have higher magnification than a magnifying glass and are designed to be held or worn close to the eye. So now I wonder if he would be able to see this from that far away, though, even with that. It said that it had like a better magnification than a magnifying glass, so I think he would be able to see like the detail of the sword, even if the guy is like, as far away from him as I am to like my computer screen right now. But yeah, that was kind of what I was looking for. Whenever I write that somebody sighs or looks disappointed, I have to do it in real life. I just did that like involuntarily. Okay. I'm gonna just try to get to the next choice thing. We'll read it over, and then I'll probably wrap up stream. Let me just let me cook. Okay, let me cook, like the cool people say. I think I should make it more like present tense. I don't know. I'll have to toy around with that. Can you change R to at? It's bothering me. Oh yeah, I got you. They want me to put in? No, no, no. At is definitely where it's at. For real. Yeah, I got you. Okay, so this is gonna be choice number 3. I keep doing that. Okay, alright, let's see. Alright, so let's go from the beginning here. So this is if you choose Enin. You know what, let's just go from the top. Let's go from the top as if we were playing. We'll read through this, and then I'll probably just wrap up stream for now. Alright. Fantasy Distraction, Journey Together #1, Introduction to Fenrir. The ever-changing planet of Fenrir is full of mysteries. A lot of those mysteries began not that long ago in the fishing town known as Vorpal. Said to be blessed by Morska, the mermaid goddess herself, Vorpal has thrived throughout the years on Fenrir and has been host to the beginning of many adventures. I keep wanting to say adventurers every time I see adventures. A hub of sorts for Fennins, Fenrir's humans, and all other races, ethnicities, and creatures. The main attraction in Vorpal these days is a spot that acts as both an inn and a pub, a building known as the Sea Tides. That's where our journey through Fenrir together begins. Kind of. Alright, so this is if we were to pick male goblin merchant Enin. I guess I should do it like legit, right? Control F. Oh, it still has it saved, which is convenient. Alright. While the Sea Tides was where most adventurers found their spark on Fenrir, outside the pub was just as busy and bustling with life from all walks of the continent. On this particular day, Vorpal was just as lively as ever, and a market set up just outside the Sea Tides was just as packed as the pub. Numerous merchants lined the streets selling all manner of goods from right here on Fenrir to the eastern continent of Sabia, and even as far as the northern continent of Isla. An aspiring orc adventurer and their companion made their way out of the Sea Tides, but just beyond where they exited, a small tiny goblin was setting up shop. Enin was the complete opposite of the adventuring type, hence why he spent his days just outside the pub selling goods he procured from the towns located in Obsidian. While Fennins from Obsidian were also within Vorpal's walls this day, it was rather rare to see goods from Obsidian this far south. Vorpal's location was just south of the soon-to-be warring areas of Onyx and Obsidian, laying somewhere in the middle of both. but it was much harder to trade goods in obsidian than it was in onyx. In front of Enin's booth stood a Fenin dressed in high-quality fabrics crafted by the fashion designers in Sterin. That's always going to stick out to me now. I think I'm going to actually add. How do I do this? Comment? I'm just going to put your name here, Kitty. You could tell the two of them have been locked in a bargaining disagreement for a long time. Enin was trying to sell a necklace from Genin that the goblin received prior to King Ingvar's arrival and denouncement of the wolf god Enror. This necklace was said to be worn by the monks in the Genin monasteries that worshipped Enror. The Fenin man finally asked to look at the necklace more closely. Enin handed it to him. From the monasteries in Genin, you say? Yes. It does look legitimate, but is there any proof? Enin stroked his pointed goatee. This is very important. Well, I can't go rebuild the monasteries. You're gonna have to take my word for it. I hope I remember to do this voice when we do this next week. I suppose that would be impossible. How much are you selling this for again? The man finally looked up from the necklace as he asked. Alright, now we can overcharge him or lowball it. We only wrote the overcharge one, so we're going for overcharging. And I'll just do the full choice one. Ooh, it takes me back to. So this is choice 2.e. Yeah, we definitely got to set up the app. That's going to be way too confusing. Make a note, yeah. I'll go with the first time we mention Enin. He's a goblin New Yorker. I'll put a New Yorker. He's a goblin New Yorker. Okay, so we're overcharging. Enin took the necklace back from the Fenin man. How does 30 coins sound? 30 coins? Are you mad? The man scoffed. That is ludicrous. Enin covered the necklace with another one of his products. Good luck finding something like this at any of the other stalls. This is one of a kind, hard to find and in mint condition. Furious, the Fenin man walked over to another stall. Enin shrugged as he removed the product he covered the necklace with to reveal multiple copies of the same necklace. His loss. Next. The next person to approach Genin's stand was a tall Fenin covered by a beige cloak. His garb was much different than the last. He was wearing many gold belts around tight white pants that were unfamiliar to the goblin merchant. However, the cloak did have symbols on it that Enin did recognize. The symbols worn by the royal guards of the eastern continent of Sabia. Enin being from Sabia would make sense, ultimately, because I mention a lot when we do the Sabia stuff that there's a lot of merchants and people set up like around Sabia that do a lot of selling. So it's possible like he was a merchant there and then he came over to Fenrir. So it's definitely possible that he would be a native of Sabia. Maybe I could fit that in somewhere else. Tiny goblin. I look for swords akin to those found in Sabia, like so. The man pushed his cloak aside to reveal a blade connected to his many golden belts. The curvature of the swords of our kingdom are familiar to me and necessary for my adventures here on Fenrir. Enin pushed over a small box to stand on to get a closer look at the Sabia Fenin's weapon. He picked up a tiny telescope. Okay, you literally sent me the name of the thing and I didn't put it in here. I'm going to put a gem loop in parentheses so I remember I gotta see if he would actually be able to see it from distance. And I don't know if that's pronounced loop or pronounced as something else. I'm going to pronounce it as loop for now. He picked up a tiny gem loop among his wares to get a closer look at the material used to make the blade. Curved swords are found on Fenrir, but not made with that material. That's made with the gems you find in Sabia's caves. Can't say I've had the privilege of getting my hands on any yet. Maybe someday. You could try your luck in obsidian, but you might need to pry the. I can't do this voice for too long without laughing, so maybe I shouldn't give him paragraphs this long. But you might need to pry the blade off a dead Fenin. I don't think those brutes in obsidian are gonna give a blade that fine up for free, or even consider selling it to a Sabian. The Fenin from Sabia looks disappointed, but as he is about to ask for further information from Enin, the well-dressed man from earlier approaches the table again. You told me it was a rare necklace from Genin, he shouted. I think I have seen the same necklace at 3 tables in a row. You tried to scam me. Before Enin could defend himself, the Fenin from Sabia intervened. I was not done talking to my goblin friend here. It is my turn now to browse his wares, is it not? The well-dressed Fenin removes a small dagger, but doesn't approach the Sabian with it. Instead, he holds it toward Enin, but the Sabian swats it away with his hand. Enin looks at the Fenin threatening him, and then at the Sabian defending him. And then our choices are going to be to jump under the table and make a run for it, or encourage the Sabian to continue defending you. So, I think with both, we could either have Enin just get out of there and then continue his story like he's just leaving that scene. Whatever happens, happens. I don't know if he would leave his wares necessarily. As a merchant, like, I feel like those are his goods. So more likely, I guess, encouraging this dude to just keep doing it for you. With the encouraging the Sabian choice, I feel like the Sabian guy should be a mainstay of Enin's story, but not like they're not together for like the entire story. I just feel like their paths should cross more often. And like the Sabian guy is like an actual adventurer. So like when you run into him, he's just like buying like, things to help him on his adventure. But like they keep like bumping into each other. I think it would be funny to have him as like a recurring character. Maybe we could come up with a better option for number 1, because I don't think he would abandon the table if all of his goods are there. But if it's like a bunch of goods that he's just using to scam people, maybe he has like a hidden stock with more, because I don't know. We'll have to think about this one. I'm gonna leave a comment. Should we change this one? I don't think a merchant would just straight up abandon. I spelled abandon wrong? Hello? They want me to put a period there for some reason. Straight up abandon his goods / wares. In this scenario, unless he has been in this situation many times before. Okay, well, we'll think about maybe switching out this option, but yeah, I think the Sabian route, I think it would be pretty cool if he just becomes like one of Enin's like homies, like inadvertently, and they just keep running into each other. All right. I think I'm gonna stop there. Get my throat a rest. We made it through the stream though. Knock on wood. I don't know. I have wood over here. Knock on wood. We made it through the stream without my power going out with the storm. If the power would have went out, or oh, you found a Twine game? Nice. Send me it on Discord if you remember. I'll check it out. Yeah, if the stream wouldn't have happened tonight, I think I would have just tried to do it on Thursday, but since we did it, I'll probably still just take Thursday off. Tomorrow night will be Final Fantasy VII Remake, we're going to try to get through the achievements. I got to figure out what dresses I'm missing. I got to figure out what dresses I'm missing, and we got to beat everything on hard mode to get those achievements. And then I would like to get that done before Rebirth comes out. And then Friday, we're going to try our wheel of games. If anybody has any games for me to add to the wheel, put them in Discord or DM me or come with them as suggestions on Friday, and we'll add them to the wheel. And we're gonna roll that wheel. So the way that's gonna work is like, depending on what we land on, we might play it for the entire night or we might not. So like, I was thinking, because I have, yeah, fashion designer dresses, yeah. Like we have Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, for example, and like that isn't like a whole night thing. Like I bang out the stuff I got to do on there quick, and then I think we just roll the wheel again, and play something different. So really depends on what it lands on, and if like we're feeling it, chat's feeling it, if I'm feeling it. You know, like we might just re-roll if it hits league, but don't tell anybody. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I mean, we had 10 viewers plus for like the entire duration, which is awesome. That's actually more than I got from Monster Hunter the other day. So our little casual writing streams and reading streams seem to be doing all right. Hopefully it gets us some watch time over on YouTube also, which is cool. Should I haven't rated anybody in a while. I want to see if anybody else is in this directory right now. Somebody is, but they're playing like Cyberpunk or something. Person doesn't speak English. These Game of Tomes people have been around forever. I don't really know what they do. They're doing writing sprints and stuff, but like, are people actually... Is this like a 24/7 thing? Or... I'll have to dig a little deeper into that one. Maybe we'll host them in the future. For now, I think I'm just gonna call it. Kitty, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for sending me that Twine game. I gotta check that out. I gotta do the thing for Monster Lord. I got to look into honey sticks. And there was another thing that I wrote down during the stream. Oh, we're on chapter 5 of the OG A Soldier's Crest stuff. The thing for Mod Sword is probably the most important thing. I gotta do that. I can't forget. I can't let my boy down. Can't let my boy down. My boy Mod Sword. All right. Have a good night, guys. Bye. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate you. And I'll be back tomorrow with Final Fantasy VII Remake achievement hunting before Rebirth comes out.